I'm on your side, bro. I'm on your team, bro. I'm fucking with this, bro. And I telling people, I was like, hey, fuck with these guys, bro. I fucking send that Mike Lowe shit to everybody I fucking knew, bro.
Yo, appreciate that, bro.
Come on, bro. Man, I rock with motherfuckers who rock, bro.
Appreciate that, bro.
For sure.
We gonna let the band deal with this.
Trying to go right around, break it, he does go!
A-Style. Old school. Okay, what's up? Shut up. Okay, what's up? Shut up. Okay, what's up? Shut up. Okay, what's up? Right around my brand new 99.
When you think Marlins, when you think Miami and the baseball culture, you think juice. Whether that's people here or people from road, away players.
Yeah. When I hear stuff like that, and I'm like, are you guys kidding me, bro? I'm not even a baseball player. Like, dude, but you do so much more, bro. Than,
yeah.
I was like, oh, and then the guy told me, you're a Marlin. I was like, I'm not a Marlin, bro. Like,
aren't you though?
I am, bro.
I think you are, bro.
Right?
I am.
I think I told you like the other day. I was like, I think might be the longest tenured Marlin.
I am.
Like, you know.
Yeah, me and Rock. You remember Rock?
I do.
Rock's been there since day one.
Rock, the visiting clubhouse manager right now. Shout out Rock Hughes.
Yeah.
That's funny, and I want to get into all those things, but the reason it comes up, and you're being humble, but you fit our qualifications of a Legend of Dade, right? Like in every way.
I'm humbled by that. Like,
it's true, man.
Bro. Like, I try my hardest to put on for the city, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm born and raised here. I rep it to the fullest. Like, shit is all over my stomach, my arms, my back, palm trees everywhere. I got fucking palm trees everywhere, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I'm with Miami, you know what I'm saying? I breathe, eat shit this, bro. This is my career.
And that's why it feels authentic, because that feels like our experience too. We have different experiences, but all within Miami. Right. And all, like the Legends of Dade list that we made, it was more, I think you would have enjoyed the discussion about inclusion, exclusion, who got left at, but we tried to make it a comprehensive list of people that made an impact throughout sports, like overall. And we had it limited on that, like players, and I think we blended into Dan Lebitard, who qualified into that category. But it stayed in the athlete space and the coach as well. But when you think of like the Legends of Dade account itself is a Miami, Florida Marlin era, really baseball nostalgia account. And like you're intertwined with baseball culture here since 98, right?
Officially since 98. But unofficially since 93.
Wow. So unofficially, so like it's like first starting to interact with the team and engage with the team?
First started to interact with Gary Sheffield, was my first player.
Chef.
And yeah.
You only interact with the iconic ones.
I mean, I didn't know much about him. Had no idea. I didn't follow baseball, to be honest with you. My son at the time must have been 3 years old, I think it was, when I first cut him the first time, 3.5. And put him in baseball, because I wasn't gonna, I didn't play baseball, none of that. Where I grew up at, we didn't play baseball. It was a neighborhood where baseball wasn't prominent, you know what I'm saying? It was basketball and football. And so I played, basketball and football and ran track my whole life, but I never played baseball. And then I got my son into it because I was like, it's cool, let me put him in there. After I had met Chef, and I was like, it's pretty cool. And then I started watching it, but I wasn't watching it for baseball. I was watching it to see my haircut on TV. And as funny as it sounds, but it was more constructive criticism for me, because when he took the hat off, and then I was like, oh shit, okay. I was like, damn, I could have worked that sideburn a little better, or, you know what I'm saying? It's your nature, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it is that you do, that you see somebody else do, or whatever, you're like, or you want to see your stuff on TV, or in a spotlight, you're like, you criticize your work, because it's just natural instinct, you criticize it.
Yeah.
And so unofficially Chef, bro, I started watching baseball because of Chef. And it's crazy because the other day, Lewis Brinson, which you're familiar with.
He was in here the other day.
Yeah, that's my brother, man. I love LB. That's my boy.
Me too, man.
He FaceTimed me, but I was in a situation where I really couldn't FaceTime. I had just jumped out the shower, and I was like, hey, bro, I don't think this is the time. And then he was like, hey, I got somebody with you. Sorry to bother you. And they FaceTimed me, and it was Chef. I was like, oh, shit. Whoa. And Chef was like, hey, man, I can't express, how proud I am of you, bro. Like, you took this shit and ran with it, bro. Like, you did this. And I was like, man, Chef, appreciate you, bro. Like, you were my first. You know what I'm saying? And I always hold that up here. Not because it was Gary Sheffield, it could have been Joe Blow, but that was my shot, you know what I'm saying? And, eventually, it snowballed into the whole, started bringing Jerry Brown next couple times he came in, and then Levon, I had met Levon came in, and Edgar, and then Devon, later on in the years, Devon came to me.
Devon White.
Huh?
Devon White.
Yeah, Devo, man. Devo, we still speak to this day. We always speak, and I hold him like way up here too. Same as Levon and Edgar, like was a family, man.
What was the organization like in '93? Like, what was that?
I don't know much about it, to be honest with you, because I didn't follow it. You know what I'm saying? So as the years grew and as I was more involved in the team, then I started, being more involved.
And this initial involvement, are you like doing it on site? Are they coming to you in your shop?
At that point in time, they're coming to me. I didn't have a shop. I had a utility room, which had a dryer right here, a washer. I had a little 13-inch TV with a built-in VCR.
Yeah.
And that's where I would do my haircuts. And I used to work for the county for about 11 years. And I was a construction inspector for the county. So when I get off of work at 4:30, 5 o'clock, I go home and it was already cars lined up at the crib. And it was like, yo, I was here before, what's his name? And the dude was like, nah, nigga, you left and you lost your spot. And I was like, what the fuck is going on, bro? Like, am I popping like this? Like, what's the deal here? And then little by little, bro, it just started, and then when everybody started getting wind in the neighborhood, neighborhoods are, close-knit, you know what I'm saying? And they got wind that I was cutting ball players because at first they thought I was slanging dope. I was 19, 20. I was 20 years old when I bought the house. It was me, my wife, and my son. And my son, like I said, my son must have been 2. He turned 3 in Carroll City there. And dude, the neighborhood just started, hey, he's cutting ball players, he's cutting Marlins. And then, you know what I'm saying? And then they were like, nah, he's serving dope, bro. Look, there's a Porsche in front of his house. Or there's a Ferrari or a Suburban. At that time, Suburbans were, with the satellite on the top. And then Chef had one, and this shit was dope as fuck. I was like, this is dope, bro. Like, I would never see a car like this if, you know what I'm saying, like at my house. So the neighbors always thought I was slanging dope, and it's like, nah, I'm slanging haircuts, bro. Like, and I'm proud to say to this day, in front of God, in front of my peers, in front of everybody, never served dope, never sold a nickel bag of weed in my life, never did none of that. I never wanted, I could have easily done some shit like that, easily. But it was, I didn't want to be remembered or known as, yeah, he cut hair, but he served too, though. And I didn't want that. So I was like, I'm not putting my family through that shit, you know what I'm saying? Being that you come from the streets, you come from a rough upbringing, you know what I'm saying? Not the greatest neighborhoods. Didn't come from a broken home or anything like that, but, we was out in the streets. We had OGs in the neighborhood, big bros, you know what I'm saying? Cuz, you know what I'm saying? Like people that you call your cousins and stuff like that, but, you know what I'm saying? And the advice they would give you weren't always the advice your parent would give you, you know what I'm saying? But my parents both worked. My dad worked 2 jobs. My mom worked. She was a beautician, so she worked till 8, 9 o'clock at night. So I was juice on the loose, bro. And out there just causing havoc and just being dumb and stupid and getting into dumb shit. And like I said, bro, baseball was nothing around there. It wasn't, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't, but besides that, I think that by Chef and them, putting trust in me. And let me break it down real quick, because the way Chef got to me was through a mutual friend of ours, CEO and Money Mark. And if you know a little something, Dade County, Slip and Slide Records, that's Trey +6, So, and them, I was cutting them dudes for years, you know what I'm saying? And they were like, hey man, Chef want to get a haircut. I was like, who the fuck is Chef? He's like, Sheffield, bro. He played with the Marlins. I was like, I have no idea who that is. I didn't follow baseball. So they brought him and he was like, hey, he's kind of reluctant to go because he's like, nah, he want to go to a shop, you know what I'm saying? And I told him, bro, he got a shop. He was like, nah, but it's in the hood, whatever. And he was like, bro, we gonna go with you. We good, you good. And sure enough, they went with him and then we hit it off. And I still remember the first time when he sat on that chair, that he went like that. And I saw those massive forearms. I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, holy shit, this is a monster. And Chef ain't the biggest dude. Chef might be 6'1", but he was put together right, you know what I'm saying? And it was just, I wasn't starstruck, but I knew it wasn't just a regular client, And I kind of found myself kind of gingerly like, and I was like, wait, I got to snap out of this shit, bro. This is just a regular dude. We just cut the way I cut. And I'll stop overthinking, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I did, bro. And then never after that, I got starstruck. Never, except maybe one time with Big Papi. It's just because he's just bigger than life, bro. Like, the guy came in through my shop and, hey, he spoke to everybody like he knew him for 20 years, bro. That's the kind of man that he is, bro. And, You meet him and you fall in love with him. He is A1. A1.
You described it so perfectly. I had the pleasure of spending some time around him. The season that he got to 500 home runs, I was just like I was called a major league staff assistant, and I was just like one of the guys on the travel party. That's just, think about it like a fourth or fifth coach that travels along with the team. And David Ortiz was the guy in that clubhouse, the alpha in that clubhouse, and just the dude. He commands every room that he's ever walked into. Respectfully, exactly. Charismatically.
He ain't D-boying nobody, and he ain't throwing his weight around. He's just
in English and Spanish and all of it. And so I can echo that for sure. It's interesting about Sheffield though, because he was so electric in his own right. He's such a generational player. So in 1993, where was he at was he a star at that point yet? Had he entered that?
Yeah, I mean, looking back at hindsight now, he was a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, he was a big signing for us, you know, at the time.
Yep.
You know, now knowing what I know now, you know what I'm saying? And at the time, I didn't know because I didn't follow baseball. So I didn't know, you know, he was just a client, you know, to me, but a big time client, you know what I'm saying? And as I was like, well, maybe he didn't like the cut. Maybe, you know, and I kept calling the CO and like, yo, CO, did he like the cut, bro? He's like, yeah, you good, Juice, you good. I was like, yo, he ain't hit me up this week, though. He was like, you good, Juice? And then sure enough, boom, week after, Chef, hey, he'll call the house, because, you know, imagine, we ain't had no cell phones back then, bro. You talking about 93. So he would call my line, and that was my house number. So my wife would beep me, and I call back and say, hey, Sheffield called me. I was like, oh, shit. Like, that's for sure? She's like, yeah. He called for you to call him. I was like, I'm calling right now. He sent me the number. So she, you know, beat me the number or whatever, gave me the number. I don't remember if I wrote it down, but I remember being at the county, in the county facility, and then doing that, calling him and be like, yeah, I'll be there like at 7 o'clock. He was like, yeah, I'll pass by, whatever, at this time or whatever. So it was super cool, bro. But
it's funny.
I wish I could just rewind time just a little bit, bro.
That sounds awesome. And what's interesting that you said, what stands out is that you're an artist, because you're having to put, how many other people have to put their work on display for like super HD cameras, like right on the spot, you know? So you're doing this thing, you know, and you're doing your thing. You have to remind yourself, it's like, you got to do it like you would do any other cut and let your skills come out. But then few times do you have to get proven like that on national TV immediately right away. Yeah. And that must have sharpened you quick, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not to toot my own horn or nothing, but I always demanded a lot of myself, which I was hard on myself, you know what I'm saying? Before I even started charging for haircuts, I would do them for free, or get a quart of beer, or buy a 6-pack, you know what I'm saying? Or bring me a box of cigarettes or some shit, you know what I'm saying? That's what I would do, you know? And then people would tell me, dude, you should charge, bro. Like, ain't nobody gonna pay me, man. Like, who gonna pay me to cut their hair? It's like, bro, you good, bro? Look how many people you got coming to you. It's like, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then I took the advice. And then I was like, you know what, fuck it. I started charging $4. So I was like, $4, they give you $5. Like, hell yeah, got me a tip. You know what I'm saying? But times are different. But yeah, it's humbling, bro. Honestly, thinking back and looking back at stuff now, from, you know, now being where we're at now to how I started, and how I started with baseball and stuff, very humbling.
At what point does it graduate from a shop being, you know, like at what point does it graduate into like the next evolutions of it? Like, so what happens after that from the shop standpoint?
97, having those guys come before the World Series, that was big. That's when I knew, I was like, I got something. And I'm a little sentimental kind of dude, so if my voice cracks, you know what I'm saying, and I got little watery eyes, you know what I'm saying, it's just because
that's okay here, man. That just means it's real.
It's my passion, bro.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying?
We support that in here for sure. So.
My family supported me, man, and they were like, hey, you doing good. My wife was like, you doing good, bro. Like, keep getting at it, you know what I'm saying? Keep getting it, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I did, bro. That's what I did, and I started valuing myself a little more. Started taking better care of my hands. You know, I wasn't as reckless as I used to be, you know what I'm saying? Doing whatever you might be doing, you know what I'm saying? Now I know that my hands are worth some money in my eyes, you know what I'm saying? So you kind of see where you're going. You're taking these baby steps, but the baby steps they're moving. They're moving, you know what I'm saying? And I think 97 was a pivotal, you know, for the World Series, having a couple of those guys come into the shop, and then having the kids in the neighborhood with signs, "Go Marlins," and you know, World Series champs, here we come. And it was like, whoa, this is real. Like, this is real. Like, people know. And, you know, and like you said, no social media. There was no, you know, we didn't have what we have nowadays. So word of mouth spread quick, though. And that's when it was. And then in 98, like I said earlier, when we were speaking before, Al Torres, God rest his soul, passed away about 2 years ago. He's a good friend of mine, Paul Torres' dad. And he was the visiting side assistant clubhouse manager. And he hit me up and he was like, hey, Paulie gave me your number. He was like, Vita Blue wants to get a cut. And I was like, who the fuck is Vita Blue? I thought it was, I was like, who the fuck is Vita Blue? And he was like, you don't know who fucking Vita Blue is? I was like, I don't know. He said, fucking future Hall of Famer. What's wrong with you, stupid? And I was like, yeah, that's how Al would talk to you. And he was this big, but big Chihuahua is what it was, you know what I'm saying? But great guy, beautiful soul, missed every day I miss him. And he told me, look, I need you to come over here, bring your stuff. I was like, yeah, he goes, yeah, I'm gonna have, you call, he was like, when you get here, you have them send for me and I'll go see you. And at that time, I already had cell phones and stuff, you know, there was already cell phones and stuff. And sure enough, he went and got me a pass, brought out a little rolling cart, and he was like, you brought a chair? I was like, if I'm gonna do it right. And he was like, okay. Set me up in the back bathroom and went at it, bro. I did about 6, 7 guys that day. And then before I was picking up, sweeping up, and you know, and what I did, which I always hold myself, and barbers should hold themselves accountable. Anything that you put on the floor, you need to pick up. Don't leave that shit there for somebody else to come pick up after you. You ain't special. Nobody has ever had to clean up after me. So when I told him, I said, hey, I need a broom and a dustpan. Just leave that back there. Well, cleaning people come. I said, no, sir. I said, I will clean this. This is my job. I said, I made this mess. I'm gonna clean this mess up. He's like, okay, do your thing. Brought me the broom, brought me the dustpan, cleaned it all up. He's like, hey, listen, got a couple guys that are not gonna have time. Can you come again tomorrow? I was like, yeah, I can come tomorrow. I said, just let me know for sure so I can get out of my job early because I had to like take the rest of the day off from work. I was still working the county. And went back next day on the way out, we happened to be walking by the Marlins clubhouse and then Edgar Renteria and Levon were both sitting in chairs like this and with a table in the middle with a house phone. And that's where the guys would use, you know, the phones and stuff. And they were like, hey, ¿qué tú haces aquí? I said, oh, they got me to come and cut on the other side. They were like, well, shit, what about us? And I was like, and then Al told me, he was like, what do you want him to do? He's like, hey, get him a pass for tomorrow. He goes, oh, he's coming tomorrow. He was like, all right, when he gets done over there, tell him to come over here. I said, okay. Then came back the next day, did all the Marlins. So like, they would have me going clubhouse to clubhouse until they said, hey, listen, let's put him somewhere. We share the complex with the Dolphins. I'm sure there's a room we can put him in that has AC and light. Let's just have him in a neutral site. That way he don't have to come one day for one and one day for the next team. So both teams can vote. And that was the beautiful thing about it, that both teams were integrated.
It's magic, dude.
It was awesome. It was awesome. And then the talks between, and I had situations where, and this might be, I mean, I've never really spoke about this a lot because I've never been asked this, but it's funny because I've had a guy who got hit by a pitcher, and the pitcher happened to be coming in that day for a haircut at the same time. And I was like, whoa, boy. And they were like quiet to themselves, and I was like, I'll be back, Juice. How much longer you got? I was like, 15 more minutes, I'll be back. And I was like, whew. And then he was like, motherfucker hit me yesterday. I was like, oh, Lord, I don't know about none of this, bro. Keep me out of this shit. Let me get my blades out the way, my scissors, you know what I'm saying? I don't want this shit to turn out like a big old ruckus, you know? But, you know, they carry themselves. It's part of the game, you know
sure.
that, you know? Once you learn the game, you already pick that up, you know what I'm saying? So, but it was interesting, bro. It was interesting.
I'll let you get to it too, but I want to explore what you just said about like creating your own space in there, and the fact that both these like clubhouses at all times blend in and it all funnels into your spot. I've personally sat in your chair in the Marlins Park version of one, but you're talking about the pro player or the Joe Robbie.
I was actually
version of it.
Dave Wonstad's office is where I was cut at. And Dave Wonstad's
the Dolphins
office.
Fans are gonna love that. That's great.
Dave Wonstad's
So it wasn't being used in the off season.
It wasn't being used until like the later part of the season of baseball season where they started coming in already. You know, it kind of like blends in together.
Sure.
So I would have to take all of that shit out of there and then, you know what I'm saying, when they weren't there and then put it in a storage. And then when I came back, get all my stuff, put it back in there again, you know what I'm saying? Because I always took my stuff home, being my equipment, not the chair or, you know, my clips or, you know, the capes and brushes and stuff and my barber side, but my actual clippers, I would take that with me because I value that with my life. You know what I'm saying? I have it in the truck right now, and I keep hitting the alarm. I got it in the truck right now. If I lose that, I can't make no money. But yeah, it was crazy.
If you understand the schedule and the time frames of like a major league player and a major league staff, and like the limited times that they have, but once they're at the field, they're there. But you're there for work, and then there's a clubhouse. But then it's almost like you created this like little sanctuary where they could go have like another space to sit and chop it up in, and like that's special, man.
And it's funny because they do tours now, so they come by with like 3 sets of different tours during the day. So I asked them, you know, respectfully, if I have a guy on the chair and you guys do knock and I don't open, if the barber light is on, that means I'm there. But if you see that I don't open, that's because the player wants privacy. They don't want to be bothered by media, staff, or anybody else. They're there to get their 30, 40 minutes of juice. And then after that, do what y'all want to do. But it's interesting because, how do I explain it? Well, exactly what you said, you know what I'm saying? The way it integrated, you know what I'm saying? And I call it a sanctuary. That's what I tell the people that come for the tour. It's like, this is more like a sanctuary. Media doesn't bother them. Nobody bothers them. It's just us. So it's a private spot. Listen, and I know we'll talk about Jose later, but Jose loved to come in there. He was like, aquí no me jode nadie. So when he wanted some alone time, hey, anybody there? No, I'm going. So he come in and just shoot the shit with me for a fucking hour, bro. Just to talk, you know what I'm saying? God rest his soul, man. I miss that kid. Fuck.
I think that has a lot to do with what we started with like the Legend of Dade, right? Like, I think the Miami and like the barber culture in Miami is unique in its own compared to anywhere else in the United States. Like, there's no way to explain it to anybody that's not from here. Yeah. But I'm sure everybody, no matter where you go, like the barbershop is a sanctuary, but uniquely in Miami, I think it means something different.
I'm gonna agree with you to a point, but also disagree because New York is a big mecca.
Yeah.
A lot of great barbers out of New York. And I'm not gonna exclude, Atlanta, LA, Chicago, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like I mean, there's Milwaukee. I mean, I know barbers now, you know what I'm saying? And I hate for people to say, man, you're the original. And I was like, yeah, I get it, dog, but I don't see it like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I give respect to all these young cats. I might have opened the door for them, but they had to put the work in. You know what I'm saying? You got to give them their credit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I was the first. I was the original because before me, there was none, which I think it's awesome, and I think that's something that I'll die with. You know what I'm saying? Knowing that I was that special, for that point in time, that period of time, you know what I'm saying? Because visiting guys would come, and they were like, Juice, we had a long road trip, but I knew we were going to see you, so I waited. So guys would wait till they get to Miami because they knew Juice was there. So they were like, and I hate talking about the third person, but you know what I'm saying? But that's how they were like, I knew you was going to be here, so I knew it was good. And then it happened today. Yesterday, guy was like, dude, I was going to get a cut in AZ, but I was like, I knew we were coming here, so I got to get Juice to get me right. So, and that makes me feel good, And then I'm a lot older now, you know what I'm saying? I'm not spring chicken no more, I'll be 55 next month, so. And I started this when I was 27. So, being officially with the Marlins, I was 27 years old. So it's come a long way, man. And, but back to your point, it is definitely unique. And, but I won't take no props away from anybody else in the industry, especially in baseball that are, and don't get me wrong, there's a couple clowns out there. And I am not, and I got no hair on my tongue. I'll lay it out and say it. I won't name them, but there's a couple clowns out there. They know who they are, that been around in the Major League Baseball barbering situation and they no longer can be there no more. But, you made your bed, now you got to lay in it, cuz. You can't fuck around like that, bro. Like, I might not be, what the Marlins think of a barber or what, the brass. They look at me and like, what the fuck is that guy, He got gold in his mouth and he got tatted up, he got face tats. Like, what is this dude? Well, that's the barber. I guess Barber, tattoo artist. They look like that. But listen, don't get fooled by my looks, bro. Like, I'm a professional at what I do. you know, and I take pride in what my job is, you know what I'm saying? And I would never, ever take a shortcut on anybody. And that's word on, you know, on God. Because that's just that's the way I move, you know what I'm saying? And it's worked for me my whole entire career. So why change it?
And it's like the big leagues is at the peak of the game. So like if you're not operating at a high level, like that, what you said is what gives you staying power, in my opinion. That's just, it's like lasted through all these iterations.
Yeah, you know, and it's crazy because I talk a lot, like the other day, I talked to Sheffield the other day we FaceTimed the other day with Brinson and stuff, and he was telling me, he was like, dude, I was like, thank you. He was like, all I did was give you a chance, bro. You did the rest. I was like, I appreciate that, you know. Coming from someone like that, to take time out of their schedule to FaceTime me, to tell me how proud they are of me. You know what I'm saying? Especially a person in that caliber, you know?
Yeah, he's seen the whole arc of the journey too, from the start to like now what it's evolved into now. That's got to be, I don't know, that's special in terms of rewarding. I wanted to like point on the fact that you're doing it in both languages too in Major League Baseball. To me is like it felt unique. I was in a role where I was using the barber, the official barber in every city that we would go visit. But it feels like unique to have that ability to just, you could chop it up with anybody in that chair.
Yeah.
And baseball is so Latin that it happens to be Spanish, and
you're super crazy. Yeah.
And I'm going to point on the Jose Fernandez thing as well, because like I'm sure part of where he felt comfortable being in there, chopping it up in there, was that he could just go in there and be himself in his own native language. And somebody in English should come and do the same thing.
He's
like
speaking in English, bro. His broken English is bad. It wasn't bad, don't get me wrong.
Right.
Because it was good for someone who had just been here that long. Because he took off on that English, bro. From the time I met him, and I'll tell you the funny story of how I met him, but from the time I met him till when he passed, his English was like great. You know, he still had a couple words that, you know, he'd had trouble with, but shit, we have trouble with him too. You know what I'm saying? Little tongue twisters, you know? But yeah, Jose, all the guys, they man, honestly, man, I mean, it used to be you know, back at the old stadium in Wanstad's office, you know, it'd be Tony Perez waiting on a cut. I'm cutting Castillo. Alex is waiting there also. D. Lee will come in, you know, Cliff Floyd, like, bro, I can name for, I mean, that whole shirt I've cut. Every single one on that shirt I've cut.
That is
pretty fucking cool to me. Bro.
That's why you belong on the shirt too.
Yeah,
the next
dude.
iteration has
you
you
put me on the shirt, I'll be tired.
But it's I go back to if you were talking about Legends of Dade and legends within the baseball culture of Dade, I mean, look what you explained. You're right in the thick of that, right? Like right in the, and not just for the Marlins, but like for everybody who comes through. One of the things that stood out to me, because like I said, I've sat in the chair and like it feels like you become part of everybody's Miami experience. And I'm going to go back to the Jose stuff on the routine. Some guys make it a part of their routine, and the routines they have, especially on the days that they pitch, for example, it's like
and they're
it's
so
sacred.
Superstitious. Baseball players are the biggest superstitious animals there are in this world, bro. I mean, we're talking about, I've seen, gotta wear them tore up underwear. My last outing, I fucking killed it. And the one before that, I killed it. I keep wearing them. Or, you know what I'm saying? Or Carlos Delgado used to come in. Papi, échame ahí un poquito. The club man, the aftershave, he'd have to put it on. He was like, esto me recuerda a mi abuelito cuando yo iba a la barbería con él. I was like, wow. So it's nostalgic also, you know what I'm saying? Like that smell, when I put that on, he goes like, ¿qué es eso? And I told him, I was like, what happened? You don't want it? He was like, no, ¿por qué lo que? And I was like, aftershave club man. That's what barbers use. He was like, that reminds me of my grandfather when he used to take me to the barbershop in Puerto Rico. I was like, so I went and got him a bottle. You know what I'm saying? But before every game, he'd come in, use, tírame ahí. Put it in his hand, he's like, dale bendiciones, abuelo, let's go. I was like, wow, super fucking dope. You know what I'm saying?
Chills.
Yeah. And he had a good season.
Yeah. Carlos was a beast, bro. I actually saw him in the WBC. He was walking into the ballpark, and I saw him. I was like, oh, he goes, mi hermano, coño. Been a long time since I had seen Carlos. I haven't seen him since the WBC. Hopefully I'll see him again. WBC is coming back in 26. So.
Yeah.
People forget how good he was in his day.
Listen, let me tell you, bro. We had some.
Yeah, we did.
we had some goats come around.
Yep.
We've had, I mean, we got to be up there in the, you know, in the chain where you think like these guys, like pound for pound, probably our best players that gone on in Major League. About half of them came from the Marlins at one point in time.
Which of them, and it doesn't have to be for baseball reasons, because you interact with the whole staff, you interact with the whole like group of people. What people stand out from let's say the '97 through, you know, afterwards that you would have
Chef
interacted
definitely
with?
stands out.
Yeah.
You know, being that's my first. Cliff Floyd, great friend of mine. Family. I don't even call him a friend. That's like my brother. Juan Pierre. You know what I'm saying? JP, Dontrelle Willis. You know, Jose, like we spoke. Oh, my God, bro. Levon, Edgar. Edgar's brother, Edison Renteria, became really good friends with him. He coached my son for a while. Tony Taylor, that used to coach the Marlins, God rest his soul. You know, gave him his last cut before he passed away. Hawk, it's a legend in Dade right there.
He's on the shirt.
Oh, man, Hawk, I mean, my God, and I when I get asked these things, I get back when I finished with the question, I was like, damn, I forgot to mention this one. And it's just so many, so many. And guys that haven't been a Marlin either, you know, like have been pivotal for me also, you know what I'm saying? But since I'm based out of the Marlins, so obviously, you know, the friendships come, you know, pretty early with, you know, Marlins.
Right, and throughout the whole
And
year.
throughout the whole year, yeah.
What
Because you see these guys like on a weekly basis, bro. It's like, you know, for 8 months I'm with these guys, bro, starting from spring training all the way till, you know, end of the season. And if we get into the postseason, you know, only been to the postseason once or twice, but, you know, it was.
Yeah, there was a lot of greatness. I mean, you've seen every era of Marlins baseball.
Pretty much.
Every single
yeah,
era.
Yeah. I've been through, what, 5 ownerships? Well, officially 4, if you want to call Jeter the Jeter's time, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Jeter too, but started with Huizinga, John Henry, Gloria, Jeter, Sherman.
Which era would stick out to you if you had to pick one?
03. 03, the bond that we have. I might not ever have that experience again, but I remember everything, every bottle poured on my head of champagne, every cigar I smoked after winning each, you know, the NLDS and then the CS and then, you know, the World Series. Is like, wow. And I was there the whole step of the way, bro. And if I tell you, you know, for the World Series, when we get to that question, you know,
We're here. We're at that question.
We could talk it then. We could talk it. Going in postseason, I didn't know that Major League Baseball takes over security-wise.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
It flips into this whole other dynamic.
Major Marlins are not in charge anymore.
Right.
Only to a certain extent. And then it's Major League Baseball that oversees the whole thing. And as soon as I walk in there, guy says, "Where you going?" I was like, "I'm the barber." And he was like, "You need a pass. You don't need." I was like, "Here's my ID." And he was like, "That's the Marlins ID." He was like, "You need an MLB ID." I was like, "Well, how'd I get there?" He was like, "I don't know who you are." He's like, "You can't come through here." At that moment, Derek Lee was walking in. He was like, "Yo, what's going on?" I was like, "They said that I need that my ID's not good." He was like, "No, your ID's good, but it expired already. Like, we're in postseason. Like, you need a Major League Baseball ID now. Like, you need a pass." And D. Lee was like, "Dude, this is our barber." He was like, "Dude, this is Major League Baseball. I'm just doing my job. If you need him to go in there, you have to get him a pass." D. Lee said, "I'll be right back." Came out, and him and Dontrelle both came out. "Come on, man, let's go, bro. We got to go already. Look at the time it is." Got me my pass. And I was like, shit. That was pulling some strings right there. And my God. And Rubina told me, "Go, yo, ¿qué me iba a hacer si tú no ibas a venir aquí? ¿Qué me va a hacer mi barba?" I was like, oh, man.
Because it's the playoffs. Everybody wants it. Like, now you know it's national TV.
The chin strap.
Chin strap, bro. That beard, bro, my God, bro. I got so much, like, hype because of that beard, you know what I'm saying? Like, every interview I did during the World Series and after that, like, "That beard, did you paint that?" I was like, "Nah." I was like, "But how did you get it so perfect?" It was like, the preciseness of a barber and like my tools, you know, that's what I do. And they're like, "Whoa, like it's manicured so perfect." And it's like, listen, I take pride in my work, especially my beard. These guys, you don't see their haircuts too much, but you definitely gonna see the beard. The only sport that you don't really see that in football, you know.
The fade and the beard.
Yeah, it's just, you know, football you barely see them, you know. At least in baseball, you can, you know, they cover, you know, with a helmet and a hat, but you know, you see the beard. So the beard and the goatee and mustaches had to be on point, bro. And the sideburns. At that time, you know, we was rocking sideburns, so you know what I'm saying. So yeah, bro. But that time for the World Series, bro, that was, you know. And then they took me to Derek and Hawk took me to Chicago for the playoffs, right before the Bartman game. So I think we did 2 in Chicago or 3 in Chicago or something like that. I forgot how it went, but I wasn't there for the Bartman one. But when I got there, as soon as I get off, Ozzy Guillen was like, mira, este es Barbero, este que tiene que entrevistar. I was like, what's going on? I'm just jumping out of the you know, the car, you know, what do you call it, the car service. And I'm coming down with my suitcase, and I'm like, in the middle of Chicago. I'm like, what's going on? No, mira, Hugo now. And in Spanish, I was like, oh, my Spanish ain't that great. And they interviewed me, and I got clips of the interview and everything. And I was like, it's super dope, bro. And Ozzy threw me in the fire, bro. But that's what Ozzy does, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Ozzy's a unique individual. That's my guy.
Yeah, you got an up close look for a while because from 03 he's an assistant or he's a coach, an additional coach on that staff, third base coach on that staff.
A funny story, I cut Ozzy as a player when he was with the Braves, and actually I cut him and Walt Weiss one after another. And yeah, you remember that? Huh?
Of course, he's still you know.
Yeah,
of course I remember Walt Weiss.
Yeah, and he was like, he didn't care. And he got that cut in 03, and he was like, oh yeah, what was it, 02? 02 or 03, I don't remember. But when he was there with the coach in third, he was like, me quedó tan nítido que no me voy a poner ni gorra. Bro, he went out there without a hat for like pregame. I was like, this guy's crazy? And he did it with no hat. He was like, porque mira que bien loco. I was like, wow. And they're like, hey, you got Ozzy out there with no hat on. I was like, shit. He was like, go look. And I was like, this guy ain't got no hat on. But, you know, it got closer to the game time, so, you know, he had to put the hat on. But he did it out of, you know what I'm saying, out of love. That was dope. You know, that made me feel good.
Goatee.
At what point in 03 did the group feel they had something special going? Is it still during the regular season? Is it some point in the playoffs? Or does it happen in the World Series?
My brother, I'm going to be honest with you. Spring training, I felt the difference.
What was different?
Pudge was different.
Why?
He just brought that leadership, bro. I just think they brought that missing piece because we were all there. We just needed that one piece. And he took care of all those young Latin guys and took them under his wing. Pretty much everybody, but mostly the Latin guys. And then the young pitching staff, you know, Dontrelle, Beckett, AJ, you know, Pavy. He took good care of those guys. Spoonie Burger, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I saw the difference. I first met him, and Pudge kind of doesn't come off standoffish, but kind of reserved. You know, spoke to him by the locker. Oye, cuando haga falta, hermano, esto, lo otro. He was like, okay. That was it. I was like, whoa, that was cold. I had like a Randy Johnson moment when Randy don't talk to people. Not back then, he didn't talk to people. He was mean. So I was like, damn, Pudge is kind of mean. That was my first time that year in spring training early. Came back the week after. Pudge got a cut with me. Right there, I said, this is different here, bro.
What was different about it?
The vibe.
Presence?
Vibe was different, bro. It felt different than the previous years. I'm being 100% with you, bro.
It's amazing how, like, a person could come in and do that and, like, change that single-handedly.
Not just
you know?
a regular person, bro. It's Pudge.
It's wild. And then bridge all these other people together to, like, activate them, which sounds like what ended up happening.
The respect that guys had, you know, for Pudge's leadership and the way Pudge carries himself. You know, he's a leader. I saw the difference. I played team sports. You know, like I said, I played basketball, I played football, on the track, didn't play baseball, but you notice a leader. And I noticed it. And then throughout the whole year, bro, like winning series. I know we're winning every game, but we're winning series.
Right.
You know? And we were a wild card too.
Yep.
So we had a couple of acquisitions, late in the year, that we picked up that helped out, and bringing Urbina in, that was kind of like the last missing piece, bro. When Urbina hit the spot, bro, it was like, whoa.
You can finish a game the way he did, like that all of a sudden puts you in a different kind of tier, a different kind of team.
You had starters that can shut people down. Now you needed that closer.
We talk a lot in here about like what Beckett did that year.
Oh.
We talk a lot about what Dontrelle did that year. We had like Lowell sat in that chair, and so like that stands out too.
Mikey Lowe brought a lot to the table too, bro. He brought, he was, how can I say it? He was polished. Not to where he got to, obviously, at the end of his career. Yeah. But the guys were younger around him. They had no playoff experience and none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, getting those pieces in there kind of bridged that gap, and it was like you could see when it all just like became one. And it's like, whoa, this is a problem. And
then you inject the youth of like a Dontrelle, and you inject the youth of a Miguel Cabrera, and I feel like that's probably when things you feel like
we talk about all that stuff, and then Miguel doesn't really even come to mind because we're speaking about all these other monsters that what I'm saying, and it's like, bro, remember we had Miguel, and it's like, fuck, right, bro, we had 20-year-old Miguel. It's like it's a big deal, bro. Like we didn't know what that guy was ever gonna come out. I still remember the first time I cut Miguel, he was 17 years old. Alex Gonzalez had introduced me to him. He goes, "Este va a ser la cara de la franquicia." I was like, "What? That big kid, that boito, you know what I'm saying? Like he looked like a big old kid, like baby face, but huge, just like weird. Like he's like a big baby." And bro, what that guy brought to the table. And I'm sure you go back and you look at clips that Roger Clemens high and tight pitch when Miguel just took a step back and looked at him, was like, and he took him oppo. You knew right there, this guy's gonna be the man. He's gonna be the man.
It was different.
He was different, bro.
It was the perfect storm, I think. And you mentioned
yeah, you hit it on the head, bro. It was a perfect storm.
Because you had a lot of, like you said, like these guys that didn't have playoff experience, and I think that played a part into the whole dynamic of the team, where these guys that had nothing to lose, right? Like they're just even happy to be here.
Playing the game they did for free their whole life.
You mix that in with the leadership of Pudge and Lowell, and you mix that in with injecting, like you said, Cabrera and D-Train. And a lot of what D-Train and Cabrera did for that team also, I think, and I talked about it with D-Train, is that, and I go back to Jose and Livan, that was, aside from Jose and Livan, a time where you had Marlins fans coming to the stadium just to see one guy.
Yeah.
You think about D-Train Mania. You think about the cutouts of the train and the
I
stands.
still got my conductor hat at home with the 35 on it. You know what I'm saying?
One of my favorite, and one of the best regular season games in Marlins history is the Randy Johnson's versus D-Train.
Man.
I think it was in August.
Yeah.
Where it was a regular season game. It was an ESPN game, if I'm not mistaken. And it was a 40,000, 50,000 plus in that stadium for a regular season game. And that was where I think Miami kind of took notice and of what was really happening there. And it was something special.
We knew from the inside that those who knew, but there's fans that didn't know, was like, who's that? Like, who is this guy with the funky leg kick and the arm, the hiding the ball and the hat to the side? And they're like, who is that? That's the motherfucking problem. That's what they're gonna be right there. That's my dog. That's my dog right there. He gonna be a problem. And it sure was, bro. It was electrifying. The days he pitched, electrifying. Same energy that Jose had. Or Jose had the same energy Dontrelle had. Do it the right way. And I explained it to Dontrelle, and he's like, yeah? I'm like, yeah, bro, you got to meet this kid. He's like, dude, I'm gonna be down there. I'm going to go meet him because I got this function with the Marlins. I want to meet him. I said, I'll make sure to make that happen. And sure enough, I'm cutting Jose, and Dontrelle hits me up. Yo, bud, I'm over here. I said, hey, I got Jose on the chair. Come in. You sure you good? I said, come in. And I introduced him to him. And I had told Dontrelle, this guy has it, bro. He reminds me of you. Nah, bro, this kid's going to be way back. I said, Dontrelle, stop taking from yourself, bro. You was a fucking motherfucking beast. Might not have been the best pitcher in the world, bro. We get that. Might have had his struggles, you know what I'm saying? We get all of that. But, man, when he was on that mound, he was electric. Not everything is always, you got to remember, bro, you're facing somebody who's going to try their best to hit your best. Somebody's got to win. Somebody got to lose. He didn't always win, you know what I'm saying? But, man, he had balls of steel, bro. Like, he didn't care. And he could hit. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It was fun watching them pitchers hit back then because we had some hitters, bro. We had hitters on our squad.
Lineup.
I think he
Especially
hit
for
eighth
pitchers.
a couple times.
He what?
I think he hit eighth a couple times. McKeon would put him bat him eight.
He might have. Yeah, I think he did that and put Alex at 9. I don't think Alex was happy about that.
He did a couple times.
Yeah, and I think he hit a grand slam too. Yeah, Trell will finish the year with 3-4 bombs every year, bro. Yeah, he was a beast, bro.
He was just fun to watch, and he was the funnest. Like
Fun to
every
watch.
kid in America, if you're playing stickball, if you're throwing a ball, you're gonna do
Yeah,
that
you're gonna do
windup.
the
So
leg,
like
yeah.
to reach iconic status that way, to just do a silhouette of him and you know it's him.
Yeah,
That's
just
that
like
to
the
me
chef,
is-
the chef waggle. You know what I'm saying?
Same
it's like,
thing, man.
It's like incredible, bro. Like
really
you see that and
is.
it's like, wow,
It
bro.
really is. So
Like you can create a whole logo just with this. That's a logo, bro.
he can have. So we have it digitally. We can talk. D-Train, it's yours if you want it.
I did. I did a shirt when I told you I used to do shirts. I did one of with the Swarovski stones. It was a little chain for his daughter, Adriana. She was small, and I did the silhouette of them in all black diamonds, like black, Swarovski stones with a nice black, it looked like a chain. And he fell in love. He was like, dude, you got to do more of these, whatever. And I was like, this shit takes about 4 hours to make, bro. It's one by one, bro. And you have to create the whole entire thing one by. There's nothing printed on there. It's just stones. I'll have a picture. I'll show you.
We gotta see that.
Yeah, I'll show you some stuff. I did a nice one for Gio too with the Florida on it, and everybody thought that it was like, and I did. And Dino had one too. Robert and Dino had one too with the snowman, the Jeezy snowman, and he sent me the picture today. He's like, bro, I went to the club with this. Everybody was like, where you get that chain? He was like, what the fuck is this? And he's like, nah, it's not a chain, bro, but it looked like a chain. It was on point. I mean, it wasn't one of those that the chains were out here in the car. No, it looked like it was coming straight down from where it's supposed to be. I'll show you some pictures.
We
bro.
gotta see these.
It was
We
dope.
gotta
But
see
yeah,
these.
going back to the silhouette, his logo. I mean, come on, man.
Look
How
at this.
iconic is that, bro?
As iconic as it gets to
That's
be
it
able
right
to.
there.
Okay, so playoffs, all that. That's like, okay, you clinch, you're excited. You go to the next level, you're excited. But the World Series, that to me is like a whole other.
Yeah.
It's like a whole other experience, a whole other level. And I'm wondering what that was like for your perspective to watch that, because it's really in the scope of history. When you zoom out, that Yankees team was ridiculous. And to be able to square it up and beat them in a series,
And
which
beat
is
them
what
in
it becomes, right? Like, can you beat them in a series?
Mm-hmm.
And they did. So, like, from your point of view, the energy around that must be crazy, and the excitement, the nerves, the like
The scared.
highest, the
I
scare.
mean, you're scared. Like, bro, listen. Think of the stadium because you've been there, times 10. Okay, if you normally get 10, 15 media people, now you got 40, 50. It's scary, bro. It's just a lot of people, and I had never witnessed anything like that before. Like I said, in '97, I wasn't around for the World Series, but I was at my house,
Right.
so I was cutting guys at the house. But
Right.
03 was like, I was like, holy shit, this is like, the energy felt different. It's like,
And you're right on the pulse of it, which is so interesting. Like everybody's routine is magnified to like an extent, because now everybody wants to perform. And so
Exactly.
now if a guy has a routine where he's got to cut his hair the day that he's starting, for you to be sitting there like around that kind of like thing happening
That
must
energy,
be,
bro.
what a unique experience.
yeah. And it's funny because a lot of pitchers won't even, like, if you know a little bit about the game, like the days they start, don't even say hi to them. Like, don't waste your time. They're just gonna they're gonna mean mug you and walk away. And Jose was just not like that. Neither was Trell. Those two guys were a lot similar than they both even knew. You know what I'm saying? Where Jose came from, where Dontrelle came from, Dontrelle didn't have an easy upbringing either, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, he definitely didn't have an easy upbringing. Oakland, Alameda, that's the turf. And he always told me, I said, man, I want to go to Oakland, bro. And he was like, nah, I ain't taking you to Oakland, bro. It ain't no good over there, bro. He's like, Ain't nothing over there for you. I want to go over there. I want to see where you grew up at. I'm good friends with his mom, with Granny, his grandma, I raised him. I was like, I want to go, bro. And he's like, we never got to go, but he was like, you don't need to go to Oakland. He always took care of me, and vice versa, I always took care of him. I knew he was always in good hands because Juan Pierre was always around him. So I always knew Juan P always had him. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Juan P. It's my brother for life. And Juan P held him down. You know what I'm saying? And got some phone calls in the middle of the night every once in a while from him. You know what I'm saying? Come pick up my car, or I need you to come do this for me, or pick this up for me, or take me over here. Which I did with a lot of guys, you know what I'm saying? And which I never minded doing, you know what I'm saying? So, but that was, the confidence that he had in me, he confided in me, you know what I'm saying? Being that people might look at me as something else, but to me, I'm just me, bro. It's just me, bro. All I do is cut hair, that's it, bro. I'm just a normal fucking dude, bro. Fighting for my life every day to make it. That's how I see it. People see me and they're like, oh, bro, it's like a celebrity. So I was like, bro, I'm no celebrity, bro. Like, by no means. But people want to see it that way. That's cool, bro. But just understand that I'm human and I'm a normal dude, bro. I just breathe these shit just like everybody else, bro. Honestly.
I think authenticity has a lot to do with it.
Sure enough, yeah, you're right.
And like you go back to like what you said, like the sanctuary, and you've talked about it before, like the code, like the barbershop code.
Yeah, it's G code, no doubt.
And I'm sure you understand, like that has a lot to do with why you're still here and doing it, like the longevity part of it.
True.
Right? Like it's you've mentioned like the relationships are bigger than, or they go way past the barber chair.
Yeah.
Or the ballpark, right?
For sure, no doubt.
So one of my favorite things to do with my son, I got a 5-year-old son, playing ball too.
That's
but I love going to the barbershop with him.
Oh, yeah, that's a must, though.
That culture.
You have to. It's a culture, what I'm saying?
I wanted to talk a little bit about, and I can't help but think about that, what you said, like that's those surreal moments where you're at the ballpark, you're in the World Series. Like, I know you got to experience that with your son and kind of share that with him. So how cool is it to go through all that and even get to where you're at now, but also share that with your son?
I loved it, bro. I was taking my son to the ballpark with me since I was in Wannstad's office. And he sat there and sang a Casey and JoJo song with Trinidad Hubbard, you know what I'm saying? And, he would practice infield with, Alex Gonzalez, Castillo, Millar, D. Lee, Mikey Lowe. Like my son, TT would hit Fungo, Willie, round the back. And Willie would go over there and he'd hit he's a kid, bro. And then unofficially he was working there since he was about 7 years old, cleaning the lockers for the guys. Guys would be like, Willie, clean my locker, throw all of this shit out and only put this here, this, and that. Willie would do it and they break him off a little something. So he was never paid, from the Marlins organization, but the guys would, look out for him. And Preston looked out for him a lot. Dontrelle looked out for him a lot. Cliff Floyd, Alex Gonzalez, Castillo. They treated my son like gold, bro. And I to this day, I appreciate that, And only, not regret, but the only sad moment that I had is that I couldn't experience the playoffs with him. He was older already. He must have been about 15 maybe, 14, 15. But Major League Baseball just wasn't happening. I had a hard time getting in there. How was I going to get him in there, you know what I'm saying? So it's not like he was a staff member either. So, kind of sucked that I wasn't able to, share that with him. But, it is what it is.
So if we're doing some homework before, there's a car involved in like you and Dontrelle at some point, right? This and so maybe that's a good segue into Dunk. Am I like into the culture like that is clear when you go into your shop, like the pictures are there, and if like just interact with you at all, it comes out like that. When did that come into play? Like how does it still play a role?
With my car?
Yeah, like the car, like your car in your life.
Hell yeah. I mean, a car is just an extension of the man. You know what I'm saying? If you got a beat up ass car and the shit's always dirty, you're always dirty too. You know what I'm saying? But if your shit's clean and it's always looking, pristine and on point, I'm 55, bro. I can't look more pristine than what I am right now. I'm struggling to look okay. You know what I'm saying? Older age and stuff, but. I try to maintain, I try to eat well, and work out, you know what I'm saying, live a healthy lifestyle. I don't get drunk, I'm not a meth head or a cokehead, you know what I'm saying? So, but my daddy always told me, he's like, a car reflects the man, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you always have that car clean. You always keep up with your car. You take care of something, they're gonna take care of you. And I always lived by that, you know what I'm saying? And Actually, the way the car came about was Dontrelle was, loved cars. He's from Oakland. He, the Mustangs and what were the other cars that they used to ride over there on? I forgot the name of the cars now, bro. But anyway, the Cougars, the old Cougars, and they would ride them on some, they call them Mustard and Mayo, the Vogues and stuff. So and the wire wheels, and he was like, "Hey man, y'all cars be what them cars called?" And I said, "We call them donks." He's like, "A donk? Like what that mean?" I was like, "Bro, to my understanding, me going back till I was 7, 8, 9 years old, standing hanging out on the block, and you see somebody coming, like, boy, look at that donkey." The cars are so big and that ass is so big on those cars that they called them donkeys. We used to call them donkeys. Where we got the name from, it might have been something that we might have heard somebody, one of the older guys say, but we stayed with the donkey and the donkey turned into donk. And that's where it was at. And then Dontrelle was like, "Yeah, I like them, bud." He was like, "How about, can you find some?" I was like, "Yeah, I can find you some." So we got him a 75 was the first one that we got him. And Pitbull actually, it was I forgot who owned the car, but Pitbull used it on one of the videos. It was a baby blue convertible with white interior. So we got him that car. And then I got him a 71 hardtop, and he loved it. And he was like, "Hey, I want to get one every year." So donks, if you know about the donk game, donks, the word donk isn't just, because people think donk is a Miami thing. It's any car with big rims. Nah, that's not what it is. It has to be a Chevy, Caprice, or Impala, which is Impala is the base, and then Caprice is the luxury. It comes with all power, all everything, power seats, power locks, cruise control. Impala doesn't, comes with roll-up windows. The other ones are all power windows with the Caprice. And he was like, "Yeah, I want to get one every year." I was like, "All right." So 71, you already got. 75, you already got. 76 don't come convertible, and it looks just like the 75. It's the last year of the donk. It's not really too sought off after, But I got on eBay and I found a 74, and I was like, "Hey, look at this." And he was like, "What's up with that?" I was like, "It's a 74. That shit's rare, and it's got all the trim on it." "Yeah, you like that? You like that?" I was like, "Bro, you need to get this." I was like, "All right." He's like, "Wow, how much is it?" And I was like, "Well, right now it's at 15.7 or 15.5. I was like, "They got $1,000 increments. This is on eBay. The car's in Parma, Ohio." So he's like, "What if this shit ain't gonna run? What the engine?" I said, "Listen, bro, it's at 15 now. If you can get this car for 20 or under, forget it even has an engine, bro. Doesn't matter. This car's fucking impeccable." "Yeah, go ahead. I think the car had 2 more days. I waited till about 10 seconds left, and then I bid. So he told me he didn't want to spend over 20, so I wound up bidding 20,000. So I guess whoever was under me got outbidded by somebody at 16.5, and then somebody outbid him at 17.5. But since I bid 20, I outbidded everybody. So I was like, I called him up, and when that little thing came up, like, bling, you won the auction. I was like, "We got it, dog, we got it." I was like, "Hey, we got to send that 500. Hey, bud, I can't right now." I said, "Listen, I'm going to put the 500 in as a deposit." I said, "Just give me back." He was like, "Yeah, I got you. I said, "Listen, send me all the info so we can put everything." "Yeah, just do that shit. I was like, "I don't know the info. Man, just put it under yours. Just do that shit." I was like, "This motherfucker, bro." Next day I call and say, "Hey, we got 72 hours, bro. We got to pay this money, bro." "How much is it?" I said, "Everything total with fees and everything winds up being 21. I think it was 2,900 or something like that." He was like, yeah, I fuck with that." I said, "All right." I said, send me the card info so I can send it to these people. We got 72 hours. Now we lose the bid. We lose it. He's like, "No, I'm gonna send it. Boom. He sends me the info. I was like, "Yo, what address and name do you want me to put it on?" Like, Dontrelle Willis, what address do you want me to put it on? "And don't worry about it, just put your address on it." And I was like, "Sure, it made no sense, bro. When it gets here, then we gotta do that shit all over again, bro. And then you gonna spend more money on that?" He's like, "Listen, nigga, fucking car's for you, bro." I was like, "What?" He's like, "The car's for you, bro." He's like, "I can't fucking surprise you, bro." I was like, "But for me?" And I was like, bro, this nigga made me cry, bro. I was like, wow, that was my dream car. I always had old cars, but I never had a convertible. Convertibles are always, for more money, So I could never stand it, you know what I'm saying? I didn't have it. And then by him giving me that, he was like, "But that motherfucker gonna be mine whenever I want to use it." I was like, "Whenever you want it." And the car got to the house, and I was like, wow, I got me a Vert. And then he told me, he was like, "I want you to enjoy that shit and know this from me and everybody. we appreciate you. I was like, whoa, shit, what'd I do? Besides cry. You know what I'm saying? Made a grown man cry. Made a dream come true that probably would have never happened. So that's the story with Charlie Brown. He hates when I say it because he's like, stop telling people I gave you that damn car. Like, why, bro? It's the truth. He was like, then they telling me why you didn't get me a car and I needed this and you didn't get me that. He was like, I got family members bitching at me. I was like, just tell them I'm special, bro. Just tell them I'm special. But God, thanks. God and Dontrelle Willis, bro. He did me right. He did me right. And then the whole car, you know, it goes with me, man. It's just, I hold my ride outs every year. You know what I'm saying? 10 to date, it's been 10 years in a row. Never no bullshit, no arguments, incidents, accidents, no fuck shit. Everybody knows and respects, and it's a great day for an event. It's done every New Year's Day from about 12 o'clock to midnight, from noon to midnight. It's an all-day thing, bro, and it's a vibe, bro. We got people coming from Missouri, Georgia, Jacksonville, Duval, you know what I'm saying? All over the place, bro, and just to enjoy a fun day with some bullshit I created in my head. Like, let's hang out with the cars. And they just snowballed, bro. Snowballed. My boy Chevy Ben, he's not around right now, but, you know, he's still around, but he's not around right now. But he was always telling me, he's like, dude, do this shit, bro. Let's get a little something. He was like, you got the following, bro. Just got to put it out there. Hey, we're going to meet up at Heads Up today at my shop. Anybody want to ride, just make sure you got a Brum with you. You know, you got a Vert or you got a, you know, nice car. We're going to ride. Did it. About 15, 20 cars. By the next stop that we went to, it was about 40, 50 cars. All right. Then the next stop, because we had different stops, you know, so we'd ride through the streets of Miami all together in all the cars and, you know what I'm saying, 2 lanes and shit, 3 lanes, whatever it might be. And we get to the third spot, it's like 100 cars. I'm like, bro. And Ben's like, hey, I told you, dog. This has to be an every year event. I was like, I'm gonna do this. And here we are today. Been 10 years, solid, fucking great.
No joke.
But anyway, that's my car. That's what my car does. That's what I do with my car. And that to me is besides my family and spending time with my family, my wife, my kids, my grandkids, you know, which I got 5 grandkids. And but my Sundays, you know, for my sanity, it's my little car day.
You lit up when we started to talk about it, and I think that's cool, and that's an awesome story with Dontrelle, man.
Thank you,
and
bro.
It's an awesome story.
It's a blessing, bro. It's all listen. None of this would be possible without God, bro. Trust me when I tell you. And I'm not a super religious, you know, fanatic or anything like that, but you got to give props where props is due, bro. And it is what it is. I wouldn't be here. Plenty of times I escaped death, you know, by whatever it might have been in the streets or, you know, accidents, whatever it might have been. And God always takes care of me. Some way, somehow, he always keeps me out of danger and looks out for me. Teaches me a lesson every once in a while, but most definitely keeps me out of harm's way.
Wow. That's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful way to look at life and look at the world.
Thank you, my brother.
Really,
like I said, I'm sentimental, so my nose be, you know what I'm saying? I apologize, bro. I become a little bitch when I talk about my life, bro, and my family and shit.
Something that I'm big on with Legends of Dade is, aside from, you know, giving flowers to like our champions, right? Like World Series championships are nothing to just kind of stroll by. Like that's a big deal.
Yeah, right.
And
especially
like
they don't come that often.
Before, I'm not sitting here if it's not for that 03 championship. But there's a lot of like unsung heroes, like a lot of dudes that I think had an impact and like a long-lasting impact in the organization that often are like looked past. You said Tony Taylor, somebody that's not with us anymore, but the more I interact with people that have been around the organization, I've learned that he was big time and he made a lasting impact to a lot of people.
A lot.
Talk about guys like Tony Taylor, guys like Perry Hill, Tony Perez, which is a Hall of Fame dude that was around the team for a long time. I think
a long time.
For the whole time that you know that
till the Jeter era got here, yeah.
Right.
So 18.
Talk a little bit about those guys and what impact they had on guys, and a lot of also like Latin guys that were coming up.
I mean, huge impact on all those guys, you know, because those guys, I mean, they knew who they were. They watched them when they were younger, you know what I'm saying? They knew the Tony Perez, they knew the Tony Taylors, they knew about the Andre Dawsons, but to know about them and to know them and to share time and knowledge with them made an impact on those guys, you know what I'm saying? You know, and the TTs and stuff and there's a lot of shit that goes on, bro, that people have no idea about, you know, what goes on, like behind the scenes. They just think it's baseball, the dugout, TV, win, you lose, the popcorn, the Gatorade bath, and that's it, and making millions of dollars. There's just so much more than that, bro, so much more. You know, a lot of these guys really have, like, when you talk to these guys don't perform good, and they don't sleep, you know, they don't eat, you know what I'm saying? Like, this shit is real, bro. Like, this ain't just a fucking game, bro. In the whole scope of things, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's a game, but it's their life. It's their life. This is what they dedicated themselves. How old your son?
5.
And he's been playing how long?
He was 3.
So can you imagine from 3 years old to fucking 34 years old that he'll retire? 30 years, bro?
Yep.
To dedicate your life to something? And when that's over, what happens?
Yep.
What happens? That's what happens to a lot of guys. They don't know. They don't know what's gonna happen. Everything they were always good in, now all of a sudden it's just done. Now you gotta find something else. I'm not telling you that they gotta find something else because they broke or nothing like that. You know, there's been instances where people have, you know, guys have made bad decisions and have lost, you know, a lot, you know what I'm saying, and probably lost everything. But, you know, what do you do? Like, what else am I good at? You know what I'm saying? A lot of guys that, you know, they find TV. You know what I'm saying? Play-by-play sports announcer. Dontrelle, great career he's having, you know what I'm saying? Great career. Big Papi. You know what I'm saying? A-Rod, like, you know? It's pretty dope, bro. But yeah, those guys like that, and every organization has guys like that. You know what I'm saying? And Tony Perez was, I mean, to the Latin guys, he was God. You know? And Hawk, Miami, you know, legend, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out Southwest High.
Yep.
We got a few alum from there in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that because I think that there are a lot of guys, like it sounds like what Tony Taylor was and Tony Perez did, and I've seen iterations and versions of them in other organizations too. And I feel like the right kinds of organizations and the good ones see the value in the things that those guys bring.
Yeah.
And especially in the journey of like a young Latin kid who's getting to baseball and, you know, the Latin player goes through a completely different experience
than the American player.
English speaking player, right?
No doubt,
because
100%, bro.
It's a different experience. So when you finally have somebody that's close to you, that's like speaking to you in your language, and that's why I said that about you in that barber chair, an ability to like sit in that chair and just kind of be themselves in their own, you know, and like in a little sanctuary way, or in this case with Hall of Fame type of players just being like speaking to you in Spanish and in your language, and and that has to have moved the needle.
You know, it's a sense of confidence. It gives you the confidence, and you know, and that's what those guys are put there for. You know what I'm saying? Especially nowadays because the game has gotten so young that nowadays you don't even have veteran guys, bro. Like earlier, I was just telling you, I'm talking to this guy, and he's like, "Dude, do you know I'm the oldest active player the Marlins have?" I was like, "How old are you, bro?" He's like 30. I was like, what? It's like, where the veterans at, bro? Sandy? What, 4 years with us? 5? In the game? 4? 5? You know what I'm saying? The game has just gone a whole, I mean, listen, the game has done a complete 180 from the time that I was there, when I started.
How does it feel different to you?
Super young.
Super young.
Super young. I don't know if it's because the game has gotten so young that these guys are different. You notice and you know, and this ain't to one particular person, don't get me wrong. And I would never even call anybody out like that. If I would say something, I'd tell them in their face, you know what I'm saying? Because I ain't, you know, I'd tell them. Like I've talked to people before, and I had to get in somebody's face, you know what I'm saying? It ain't always been peaches and cream for me, bro. Like I'm gonna be honest with you. There's been hard times. I had to deal with a lot of shit, a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But you take that with, like with, like you gotta just take it. Because you know that you gotta pick your battles. You know what I'm saying? And it was tough on me in the beginning. There was a Clubhouse guy that really tried to make it hard on me. And at a point in time, I thought he was a little racist too. You know what I'm saying? And But, you know, I never spoke on it. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't want anything to happen with my son because my son was around there. And something did happen with my son with him. And I didn't like it at all. And when I went to talk to him, he kind of came out, you know, out of the way he came at me was like, yo, if you hear the bitch about your son, I want to hear the bitch. And I was like, fuck are you talking to, bro? Like, I'm a fucking man just like you're a man, bro. Like, we shouldn't be talking like this to each other unless it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we talk like that to somebody, bro, that's for a fight. Man, I ain't about to fight with nobody now, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna do that, but don't get it wrong. At the end of the day, he's still my son, bro. Still my son. But there, like I said, everything ain't always been, you know, ain't always been great, but 98% of it has. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, it is what it is, bro.
That's the vast majority of it.
Yeah,
so
no doubt about it. No doubt about it. You know, and then, you know, things with players too. I didn't always get along with every player. You know, there's a couple guys I didn't get along with. It wasn't because the haircuts wasn't good, I'll tell you that. You know what I'm saying? But it was just some, you know, conflicting, you know, attitudes or, you know, conflicting personalities or whatnot. You know what I'm saying?
I think anybody that's spent time in those clubhouses would hear you say that and be like, that feels right. That feels like what the experience was.
But bro,
did you see the whole range of it?
My brother, listen, how many of you guys in here?
On a daily basis, 10, 12?
Do you guys get along all the time?
You know what? In this particular case, we have a good track record, but it's 12
so far,
dudes
so
in a space.
Yeah.
And like, so you're...
Imagine those same 10 guys for 4 years. And now it's not 10 guys, now it's 50, 60 guys.
Right.
Somebody's gonna have an issue with somebody. It's just the way it is, bro. It's just how it is. No point in time does nobody dislike each other or shits on somebody else. It's just whatever happened, happened. You clean that shit up and go on the next day, bro. Keep it moving, let's go. You know what I'm saying? But, I mean, like I said, bro, experiences that I've gone through, you know what I'm saying? Like they've weren't always great, but the majority of the time it has been great. And I'm blessed to be here to talk about it, you know what I'm saying? And the guys have been awesome with me. They've been great with me and I gotta tell people, I don't make clients, I build relationships. I don't build clientele, I build, you know, relationships. You know, so I hang out with my guys, you know, we do the car thing with some of my guys, we do the baseball thing with some other guys, do the football thing with, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and these guys, mind you, these guys come to the shop also, you know what I'm saying? So you get to see them out of their comfort zone. And then they're just regular people. You know, story I was telling you earlier when Big Papi came in, he said hi to everybody in that barbershop and spoke to them, had a mini conversation with everybody he met. Oh, yeah, esos zapatos tan, yo. And this and that, oh, la gorra esa, I never seen it, no. Like he had little conversations with everybody as he walked in and met everybody and shook their hand. I was like, that's why he's the fucking man, bro. That's why David's the man, bro. But somebody raised David.
Mm-hmm.
That's the veteran leaderships, bro, which we're lacking big time in Major League Baseball now.
How else could it happen if there isn't like a veteran? And what's interesting with David is that age doesn't just give it to you. In order to have that, you have to actually be about it. And he had that presence with him. He happened to be the best, you know, in his.
And you got to put the work in, bro. And you have to lead by example.
And you also have to know that those next generations are coming. So what I felt from him is that like ability to project that like you have to make that impact on those generations behind you. Because somebody made it on you. And if you don't do it, like you're it. You're the last line. You're the last line.
Yeah. You know? You're the last one carrying that name, bro. Yeah, same shit. Yeah.
So I think that if you go younger on a roster, it stands to reason that you would like sacrifice that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'd sacrifice that veteran leadership, which I'm glad to hear it from your perspective because I think it has tremendous value and it has the most value when he's like a dude on your team.
Yeah.
And that's why David had it like that at 30, whatever he retired at. Yeah. He retired having like a career year. He was never not that guy. And he had that presence to him and that.
But he wasn't always that guy either. Remember that.
For 100%. He needed to get that from somewhere.
Yeah.
And like,
he didn't do well at first.
No, but
they took a chance on him.
And he was around Manny a lot. Like there was like I'm sure that he would sit there and speak
Manny's
to the
a good friend of mine. Manny used to be at my house every week, bro. Every single week. Me and Manny go way, way back. Back to Cleveland days.
For that World Series, no?
I met him right after the World Series. And he started coming to the house to get haircuts. I think I met him through, might have been Castillo. It might have been Castillo. Yeah.
That's
Bro, we could sit here and throw these names around, bro.
we could, and that's why I want to be.
And I can tell you stories about everybody that you mentioned, bro. Like everybody, bro. And to think about it now, it just hit me in the face like, fuck, I've been around for a long fucking time, bro. There's a reason this beer is white, bro. There's a reason.
But look at how many cool experiences are layered
No
throughout,
doubt,
and how many hundreds of stories that we're not gonna able
And
to
listen,
get to in this.
Don't get me wrong, bro. We're just talking about players. We're not talking about people that made an impact on my life and in the community that weren't players.
Does anybody stand out? Really stand out amongst all of them? Not to like limit it to one, but do any of those people really jump out?
I mean, yeah, I believe they do. For me, you know what I'm saying? Al Torres, you know, the guy who got me in. You know, Tony Taylor wasn't a player, but he used to be, you know, he was a big impact. Guys as far as even Clubhouse guys, even bat boys, bro, honestly. You know, trainers, you know, Ozzy, you know, coaches. Wasn't even a manager, he was a coach. You know? And I've cut these managers, I mean, we're talking about from Jack McKeon to Edwin Rodriguez, Freddie Gonzalez, Jeff Torborg. You know what I'm saying? Like, it goes back. The only one I ain't cut was Leland. I heard he was mean, though, too, boy. I heard Leland was mean. I didn't know him. I don't know, but I heard he was mean. Hey, Leland was no joke. Smoking them heaters, bro. I was like, woo.
We wanted to bring up another Legend of Dade that I feel like kind of I'm passionate about not letting that legacy die. Felo Ramirez, which was like me.
Yeah.
I grew up in a Cuban household. Like we grew up watching Marlins games with the TV on mute.
And listening
with
to
Felo
radio.
on the radio.
Old school shit. Yeah,
we got him up there on the wall, but.
Yeah, my guy Felo.
Tell me a Felo story. Like, what was his haircut, first of all? And like, tell me a funny Felo story.
I never cut Felo.
No?
Nah, but Felo used to pop in. I mean, at the old stadium, I would see him a lot. In the new stadium, I think I mean, he passed what?
I think 16.
16 also, 15 to 16. I think he had fell coming down the coach bus, and then he just never really recovered after that. Felo was a nice guy, man. Really nice person, you know. And, oye, ¿cómo están los pelados hoy? Digo, ¿y los muchachos cómo se están portando? Está bien. Dile que paguen propina. Así, yo le digo. No se le puede decir mucho, porque después no te dan. I was like, no, I know. But they take care of me. But Felo was, I mean, he's a legend, bro.
Yeah.
Felo's a legend.
So many of us listen to the game like that too.
Yeah.
That's how I watched the game with my grandfather. Like that feels about as OG Miami Marlins and Florida Marlins as we can get.
Yeah, Felo was awesome, bro. He was good to have around, you know what I'm saying? Just to see him, you know, with his little maletica, you know, and his jacket, the little small steps. Felo, hey, ¿cómo está, Barbero? Who he's called? Barbero de Sevilla. I don't know what the hell that meant. He goes, Barbero Sevilla. I was like, what the fuck is that? I guess it's a barber from
The Barber of Seville. I think it's
Seville?
a play.
Yeah. Oh, is that Spain?
I think it's
there he goes.
a play, if I'm not mistaken.
A play?
With that name.
Oh, it was a play. Oh, look at
yeah.
that. See, I never knew. I never
I'm
asked
sure I'll
him.
get fact checked on this after, but
Yeah.
it's.
And then he would tell me, Figaro, dime Figaro. And I was like, what the hell is a Figaro? I was like, what the fuck is that? And they get me with some of them words, but I'm not that Spanish, you know what I'm saying? I know I can handle a little something, but a lot of them things, like the sayings, el que no mata esto no hace lo otro. I was like, what? Them Cubans say, Pops at my shop, he's 80 years old, man, God bless his soul, bro. He's awesome. He's still alive. I mean, he said bless his soul, but bless him. But he's been with me for almost 20 years, and he always, every day, el que no hace esto no hace lo otro. What? El hormiga que no se tira, que no forma. I was like, what? But you know, when you try to comprehend it, and you know, your mind's working in English trying to translate, and it's like
There's no translation.
I don't get it. Yeah, there's no translation for it.
So we've talked a lot about like the baseball connection, right? But I know, like I said, spending time in your chair and talking to you about this, you have a whole business that also runs parallel to this whole thing, and
Yes, sir.
and it seems like something you're also passionate about, and
Very.
the day-to-day of a business owner is like a whole other endeavor in addition to this parallel, MLB role that you've had. And I'm wondering, you know, how's that all going? How are you, like, every time I spoke to you about it, it was growth, and it was like,
Yeah. No, and you know, it's, you know, sometimes you just got to ride the wave. You know what I'm saying? The last couple months hasn't been the greatest, but you know, there's owners in the area that I speak to, you know, that we're cool. We're owners, and we have staff under us. We're in the game for the right reasons. You know what I'm saying? Not to, you know, you're not gonna get rich on this. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I mean, listen, bro. I quit my county job, making good money, to do this and pay for my own insurance and all of that, because this is something that I just didn't like. I didn't like it. I didn't love it. I didn't like it. I'm not gonna lie. I did like it to a certain extent, but I didn't love it. I didn't wake up in the morning like, I can't wait to go to work. No, it wasn't like that. The shop is different. I love going to the shop. I love talking to my guys. I love drinking my Cuban coffee in the morning, a little bit in the afternoon after lunch, you know what I'm saying? You know, everybody, you know, gets a shot at the TV, whether it's reggaeton or, you know, I put some reggae on, or I put my little old school hip hop, and then guys bitch about that shit. When's that from? That was from like before they had color TVs, and I was like, yeah, fuck y'all, you know what I'm saying? Like, always getting at the old guy, but it is what it is. It's all love, though. But it's, the shop's the shop, man. And it's, like I said, it's I love it. You know, it's got its good and its bad, you know, and it's, like I said, it's a wave, and, you know, we're coming back up now, you know, and soon we'll be on top, and then we're just going to have to ride, you know, for a little bit. But, you know, been in business for 23 years now. May will make 23 years. So I think anything you do for that amount of time, you had to be doing something right, I think. You know what I'm saying?
There's something so
because
painful.
I wasn't a fly by night. I wasn't here for a year or two and then gone the next day. You know, I didn't sell the business and build it to grow it and sell it, because I was like, this is what I want to do. And I loved it so much that my son became a barber. You know, he got his own shop. You know what I'm saying? Heads up Willie. You know, shout out. And yeah, but he's moving to Texas now, so he can't be a Legends of Dade now.
He's a legend in Dade.
In Dade.
Yeah.
Yeah, visiting. He's gonna be visiting. But yeah.
What's cool to me too is there it seems to be like a pay it forward component. You just paid it forward to your son in terms of a skill set, a craft, a career. And I'm sure you feel that way at your shop, where you're giving opportunities to these people to also.
I raised a lot of barbers, man, that didn't
take
really
the baton and take it where they take it.
Yeah, some of them are, you know, no longer with me. Some of them have opened up their own spots. Some of them just don't cut hair no more, do something else. You know, things happen in life. You know, I get it. You know, everything ain't always, you know, the itinerary ain't always gonna be, you're not always gonna follow the itinerary. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you know, I've taught some good ones. You know, I've taught some that it ain't always about skill. It's about the way you carry yourself, and the way, you know, and I should listen to myself more, you know. But when things get rough, somebody's gotta tighten their belt and tie their shoes up to go out there and fight in the front. Is that normal?
That's it's probably a bird up top. So this is the things you deal with.
That's Miami shit.
That's authentic to this place.
There you go.
There
you go. At least I didn't see the rooster walking around.
Oh man.
Well, that's just in Hialeah though.
I've loved every minute of this conversation, and like this could go on for
Bro,
hours, and I'd be happy about it.
I can go on. Just throw some guys out there, some old Legends guys, and I can talk to you about
Let's just sit here for an hour and just throw names out. Bro.
Just throw names out, bro, and I can tell you some fun stories and
so
shit.
I guess you, we talked about contemporary baseball. How did the spot in the new stadium, like, were you able to keep that same like essence of the one you had in the old stadium to now? Like in the transfer over?
I didn't really have one in the old stadium.
In the new one you did?
Yeah, so right before, I kind of started getting worried when it was already getting close to the end of the season in 2011. So I asked David Sampson, he regularly got a cut with me, you know what I'm saying? So I told David, I need to talk to you, like personally, like, he was like, what's up? What's going on? I said, David, I just need to know what my future holds with this organization. Am I in the future plans? Or he's like, of course you are, Hugo. And I was like, because I haven't heard nothing. He was like, listen, there's a lot of shit going on. Trust me when I tell you, you're gonna be fine. You trust me? I was like, I've always trusted you. He was like, enough said, just finish cutting me. All right. Sure enough, bro. 2012 season came in, exhibition game against the Yankees, it's like, nobody's called me yet. What the fuck's going on? Like, if they call me now, what do I do? I got all my shit with me. I got nowhere to put it. What do I do? Ricky Nolasco hit me up. Like, yo, what are you doing? I said, shit, what's going on? What's the deal with that shit over there? Nobody's told me nothing. Nothing. He was like, listen, come tomorrow. I was like, what? He's like, come tomorrow. Okay. I said, how do I get in? He was like, don't, we just come tomorrow. I was like, all right. Get there tomorrow. I said, do I take all my shit with me? He's like, just come tomorrow. I said, all right. I think it was a workout day. So it wasn't a game, it was a workout day. So we had, I think, an exhibition with the Yankees, and then there was an off day or a workout day, and then supposedly it wasn't mandatory, but, you know, everybody shows up. And Samson comes in, and he was like, you ready? I was like, what's up? He's like, I told you you're in our plans. I was like, all right. He was like, look, I got 2 spots to show you. This one right here, which is where I'm at now. And he was like, I think this was good. It's in between both clubhouses. It's just not too big. I said, David, all I need is electrical outlets and AC. I don't give a fuck if you ain't got no lights. I'll bring my lights. He's like, here's your key. He said, I trust you. Shit, it's the Marlins president, bro. Like, fuck, did I just have this conversation? And he told me, what do you need? I need nothing. You want to paint this place? What do you want to do? I was like, yeah. I'm going to send somebody over here. You tell them everything that you need, and they'll set you up. Sure enough. Put lights, painted, the floor. Whoa. First day cutting in there, Ricky Nolasco, my first person. Cutting them up, all white. Everything's white, just like that, all white. Ricky gets up, and he was like, you got a fucking marker, bro? I was like, what's up? You got a marker? I was like, yeah, why? He goes, just signs of fucking, there's a big pillar. Like, fuck you doing, bro? Like, they're gonna fucking tell me some shit now. They just gave me this place, bro, brand new white walls, and you fucking scribbling on this shit? Fuck that, they'll be all right. At the moment I'm doing that, Ozzy comes in, as Ricky doing, he was like, he goes, what's up, Muertos? What are you guys doing? I was like, shit. He goes, you got time for me? I was like, yeah, come on. He's like, what are you doing, Rick? He's like, fucking putting my name on the wall. He goes, oh, that's what we do? Got up, I was like, bro, not you too? Fucking Ozzy, don't say that, he writes some shit on there. I was like, this fucking guy. This shit's fucking crazy. I got my 4 or 5 signatures on this wall. And look where we're at now, bro.
You see it now. It's really like, it's really something now. And you know what's funny? Nolasco's is like big, like right in that.
Yeah,
like, you can really see it. And
it's not that big, but it's just the way it's placed.
It's
like nobody really wanted to go around his. You know what I'm saying? So he's got his, and he's got a lot of white space around it. You know. Yeah. And then he had just signed. So after that, like maybe 2 years later, I said, hey, Rick, fucking write something. Don't just sign the fucking wall. Write something, you dickhead. And wrote some shit. I forgot what he wrote, but he wrote some stuff on there. But it's funny because that wall, man, that wall is fucking awesome. I got Guy Harvey on that wall. I got Dick Vitale on that wall. I got Trina. She signed. I said, Trina, you can't put the baddest bitch. So she was like, I got you, baby. She put the baddest chick. And I was like, hey, there you go right there. Miguel Cabrera, and you know what I'm saying, the slugger, the triple crown. And I was like, wow, Chef, Levon, Dontrelle's got the whole thing over the mirror. I got Rashard Evans. I got Busy Bone, Mace. I got, who else I got on there? My God, bro, I got so many people on there, dude. There's just so many. Antonio Banderas. Fucking people all over the place, bro.
And most of those are haircuts, too.
Most of them
It's not just a signature. It's all. It's...
Valerie Loretta, you know Valerie Loretta? MMA fighter. I think she does wrestling now. I didn't know who she was at that time, and she went in there. She signed it, and she was like, my God, can I sign the wall? I said, yeah. Signed the wall, and I was like, who is she? Like, oh, she's supposed to be some fighter, and then she blew up. And I was like, oh, I got her on my wall too now.
Sure, mixed martial arts guys would be like, yeah.
Yeah, the Rashard Evans ones, I was like, wow. And then I got Cody Covington.
Covington.
Yeah, he fucking let me hold the belt. Bro, the belt's weigh a fucking ton. I was like, bro, this shit's heavy as shit. Now I know why people carry the belts for other people, bro, for the fighters. But it's
actually heavy?
Yeah, bro. It's heavy as shit. It's heavy. It's real heavy.
I think it's cool because, like, something that I talk about a lot is, like, baseball, like, history is a big part of baseball. Like, tradition is a big part of baseball.
Tradition, yeah.
Like, when you think long term, you think down the line, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, like, every stadium has their thing that kind of sets it apart, like their trademark, right? And for me, like the old stadium, it was like that teal tower on left field, like gave it like an identity. And Marlins Park had like the home run sculpture that's no longer there. It had, you know, it's
God.
fish tank behind home plate that's not there anymore.
That was cool. I kind of like that though, back
But
then.
I look at the barbershop as something that's like, it gives the stadium an identity. And it gives Miami as a baseball city an identity. Even if
Yeah.
it's not for the casual fan to go in there, but it's something that's like a
Yeah.
trademark.
And
a
it
signature.
kind of sucks because a lot of people tell me, it's like, damn, I can't, you know? And I was like, I'm sorry, bro. It's just that, you know, it's players on. I can't even, like today I had a friend go by. He's like, hey, I'm going to be there. I'm going to go with my son. You know, can you show him? I was like, I wish. It's not like that no more, bro. I can't just grab you from the street and have, hey, he's just coming in. He's with me. Like,
Right.
it ain't like that no more. They done changed everything. New ownership, everything's different. You know what I'm saying? They got their own set of rules. So, you know, it is what it is.
What's funny to me, and it'll be the last, like, is I've been sitting in that chair and like the heads, I was telling the story earlier, the heads that pop in.
Yeah.
You know, like the head will pop in, it's like Bryce Harper popping his head in, or like, you know, guys from the opposing team, or like,
Yeah.
and I remember sitting there most of, like working in the front office. I was like, bro, I probably shouldn't be in here, you know, like I'm just coming out to like, you know, and you were kind enough to,
Yeah, man.
to give me a cut and we would chop it up. But it was so funny sitting in that chair and like somebody would pop in and it's like a who's who of like anybody
Yeah.
in baseball. And it's just that chair, that seat, that perspective, it's special, man. I'm glad that you've been not only given the opportunity to do it, but have like, that this has continued. We're talking about it still to this day right now, right? It's an active.
I don't ever want it to end, bro.
That's awesome.
In 27 years, I don't know until I'm not wanted anymore. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, you know. I'll keep going. You know, I can keep going. You know, I feel just as good as I did when I was 28. Not for 24 hours, but maybe 12 hours, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I definitely would never, you know, I mean, the Marlins are a big part of my life. Like it or not, it really is, you know what I'm saying? It's a big part of my life, and it's a big chunk of my yearly, you know, income. You know what I'm saying? And it's good money. It's good money. You know, it's not easy work. Don't get me wrong. The commuting and, you know, Miami traffic, bro. Coming from Miami Gardens to Little Havana and then back, and it's like you catch traffic wherever you are.
Yeah, you bet.
If
You might
it
as well
ain't
get
after 2,
comfortable
3 in
with
the
it.
morning,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? From 3 to 5, you ain't gonna catch. 3 in the morning to 5 in the morning, you ain't gonna catch. Car traffic on the way. When I text you, I was like, I'm on my way. 45 minutes to get here, bro. It's like 6 miles away.
Yeah.
It's like, how?
They're getting worse.
Yeah, I know. But you brought Bryce up. Funny story, we were talking about Bryce today, and it was like, bro, I feel like Bryce. And one of the guys was telling me, Norby actually, he was telling me, Con Norby was telling me, he was like, you cut Bryce? I was like, yeah. And he was like, dude, I feel like he changes his style like all the time. I was like, yeah, he does, bro. He's really like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not your average dude, you know what I'm saying? Like, he got flavor to him. He got a little flavor, you know what I'm saying? And he'll do the design shit. Man, I even had my braider go out there one time and braid his hair. He had cornrows, and they were like, what the fuck? But Bryce is, yeah, I told him, I said, yeah, Bryce changes it up. He'll buzz it off, and then he'll let it grow wild, big lumberjack, big beard, and then later on you'll see him comb over. And so what I was trying to get to is one time, I don't remember if I was cutting him or I was cutting Jose, and then Bryce came in, or I was cutting Bryce and Jose came in. I don't remember what it was, but it was just us three in there. And until Stanton came in. And then that's pretty good that's a pretty good room there, huh? Yeah. Stanton, Bryce, and Jose?
Yeah,
come on.
Electric in that room.
I was lucky to be in there. Well, I was lucky. I had to wish I was a fly on the wall, but I was really there. And when they were first initially talking, and then something had come up because when Jose had hit that bomb, and then he kind of like pimped it a little bit, and then with the
I was at that
braids.
game.
It's at
Yeah.
Atlanta, right?
Yeah. Chris
Brian
Johnson.
McCann.
Chris Johnson on third base. And then Chris became best friends with him afterwards when he came to the Marlins.
It's real, bro.
You remember that?
Yep.
And so then Bryce was telling Jose, he's like, what the fuck was that all about? He was like, bro, I don't know. He was like, bro, you gave me your best stuff and I hit it. I can't look at it. And then Bryce was like, bro, I don't like that type of shit. He's like, bro, if you're constantly battling me to get me out and I get one on you, Jose's like, bro, I'll tip my hat to you, bro. Do your thing. He goes, but let me tell you, when I strike you out, I'm gonna fist pump, and if I hit one, you gonna know it. And then Bryce was like, I have no problem with that. And I was like, wow, listening to these two guys talking, I was like, holy shit, bro. I'm really here listening to this, bro. These two greats. That I'll never forget. And then Stanton comes in and is like, oh shit. I was was like, here we go, bro. You know what I'm saying? Probably the biggest basher there is, and then Bryce probably one of the top players in the game, and then Jose one of the top pitchers in the game. I'm like,
at that moment, everybody at the peak of the game, and like just to be in like a confined space with that energy, and like about such a contentious topic. Like every pitcher will have their argument in defense, and every hitter will have their argument in defense too.
And just the respect for me, for them to even speak like that around me. Come on, man. How blessed is that, dude? Straight up. No bullshit, bro. It's like, wow. Like, did this shit just really happen, bro? Like, they just had this conversation in front of me at my spot? Cool. I was cool with it. I didn't complain. I'm
sure the list of stories like that is long.
Oh, my God, bro.
And that's so cool.
Yeah.
And that's why it's over the course of this conversation, it's clear why, we wanted you to sit here as a legend of Dade, because like all of these stories just corroborate the fact that that's exactly what you are.
Bro.
And so
there's so much more than just baseball, though, bro. There's so much more, but baseball just really consumes. Around this time, it just consumes like everything. You know what I'm saying? So when it's season, I'm in season. And it has its priorities, bro. I didn't take that job in the bubble during COVID. Because I was like, if the season starts again, how is it going to look that a guy they gave a barbershop to is in the NBA bubble and we're here playing and this guy ain't even here? I ain't going to do that. I'll wait right here until they start this shit back up. Sure enough, it started in July. I must have cut that year from July till the end of the year, maybe 10 guys. That's it. They put me in a room way the hell somewhere else.
I was in the bubble too. I remember that.
Yeah, bro. Remember they had the tier one. And I remember Jeter reaching out to me and he's like, listen, I tried my hardest, bro, but they're not budging. He's like, that's tier one. I tried to make it tier one. They said no, they ran out of tier one spots. I was like, how the fuck do you run out of tier one fucking credentials? Like, what the fuck is that? How does that work? He's like, I told him it makes no sense making you a tier three and tier ones have to go to you to get their haircut. Just make you a tier one. But MLB wasn't having it. And then Jeter told me, look, this is what's on the table. Take it or leave it. This is the best I can do for you. I was like, I'm there, bro. Say no more. I'm there. I'm there with a smile on my face. I'm happy to be there. He took care of me.
What a strange window into that whole the tier one, tier two thing. Like it was a real thing, and it came down to spots and just like limiting things down to spots, but everybody just traveled and lived in this bubble. Testing every morning when you walked in, like testing on the way out.
Bro, listen,
asking if you could go like get a coffee, and like it was wild times.
I had to test privately, get the results, and then go.
Right.
Show them the results, and then have a rapid test done.
Right, because you're interacting face.
Wait 45 minutes. Hey, you're good. All right, now go. And it's like, oh, what a tough time that was, bro. What a tough time that was, man. Damn it, man.
Quiet stadiums was so weird. It was
bro, it was like
with the cutouts and the
we
bro. It sounds like you're watching it again. It's like, what? Where's the volume? It's fucking weird, bro.
Especially in the dome, in the bubble, you hear the AC running. It was really weird. But so like we clinched in an empty Yankee Stadium that year, and then beat the Cubs in an empty Wrigley Field. Which in any other scenario, those environments would have been wild.
Wrigley Field and Yankees. Come on, man.
It was just a quiet 20 people on one side, 20 people on the other side.
You can hear people's conversations, bro, that they were having.
You really could.
Crazy.
We had to, as scouts, because that's part of what I was doing then, you usually have a conversation with the person next to you. But in that Marlins stadium, it was so quiet, you would say some things.
Yeah.
And you'd hear a player turn around, and you're like,
yeah.
And you're like, oh shit, I should,
Yeah.
Mask on the whole time. It was,
indeed, my brother.
Well, I'm glad it made its way through that.
No, thank God.
It's still beyond, so it's a beautiful
I tell you
thing.
what, it messed up a lot of guys too, man. And it messed up a lot of people's way of seeing things and trusting also, you know what I'm saying? Guys weren't allowed to go out, and then you start finding out guys were going out to dinner with somebody else behind people's back and behind the team's back, and then it's like, damn, dog, don't make this shit worse, bro. It's already bad, bro. And I'll tell you a story. I was, it didn't have no fault on me. Mets were in town, and they wanted to get a haircut with me, so they had me go to the hotel. This is right around the time we came back. Right around the time that baseball just came back. And I remember getting approved by MLB, getting approved by the Mets doctors, and then going to the hotel. I think it was the one in Key Biscayne.
The Ritz-Carlton in Key Biscayne. That's where most of the,
yeah, that's where they,
they're the Four Seasons.
Right, yeah. But it was the Ritz-Carlton. And I remember going, I cut in one guy's room, and there was only 2 guys in that room. And then 2, 3 more guys came later after I finished those 2 guys. And then I get a call that same night by Mike Hill. And he's like, hey, you got a minute? I was like, what's going on? He's like, were you at the hotel cutting Mets guys today? I was like, oh, fuck, what happened? But before that, hold on a second, they had give me a heads up, no pun intended, but they had give me a heads up. And I was like, hey, listen, such and such tested positive, and such you cut today tested positive again. So two of the 4 guys that you cut tested positive. I was like, oh, fuck. And then I get the call by Mike Hill, and I was like, fuck, Mike, what's going on? And then he told me, he's like, listen, where you? I said, Mike, listen, I went through protocol, I did everything. You know what I'm saying? And then at the end of the conversation, he was like, you're not in any trouble, bro, but I was on my couch sitting with shorts, no shirt, no shoes, sweating. My wife was like, what's wrong? I was like, I'm sweating, bro. And my AC at the crib was like at 69, 68 sometimes, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, I felt like I was getting interrogated, bro. I felt like I had committed murder. I was scared as fuck. And then he was like, listen, it's not on you, you know what I'm saying? But I said, Mike, I tested over there. They cleared me. I went over there. MLBs checked me off. Mets checked me off. The doctors already checked me off. They gave me masks, gloves. Like, I had it all. I did it all. Only had 2 guys in the room. One was in the bathroom. One was in the other room, whatever it was, you know what I'm saying? And then the other 2 guys came, whatever, and then the other one left back and forth. You know, I explained to him everything. He's like, well, 3 of the guys tested positive. I was like, what? I was like, holy shit. He was like, did you come in contact with, and I said, look, I haven't come in contact with any of the Marlins. He said, you sure? I was like, yeah, okay, so we don't have to go to them. I said, no. I haven't seen any of the Marlins after, you know what I'm saying? I haven't seen them today. So I was supposed to see him tomorrow. He's like, okay, well, hold off on that. I was like, all right. He goes, get tested. I was like, here we go again. I go get tested again. Everything was fine. I never caught COVID. Never caught it. So that was a scary time, bro.
You're up close and personal the whole time, too. So it's
you got to do the guy's mustache and the beard, bro. Like, what do you want me to do? You can't put a mask on him. You know, listen, I followed protocol. I had mask, I had gloves. You know, the only thing I didn't have was a shield.
No, but it takes the ultimate dedication there to like stick to the craft and stick and you become a part of these guys' routine.
And
the
honestly,
guy takes serious who's cutting his hair. That's like that's like to certain people that's a thing. There's like a level of trust that has to be established.
Yeah, you can't just let anybody into.
And then you're gonna go on national TV with that, and we go back to the other thing about what stands out to me through this whole conversation. Talking about that is. Like you seem to be a true artist in your art, which is truly like it's design in action and like on a major league stage, and that's about as cool as it gets.
My shit's got to be on point because it's all 4K, bro. So you know what I'm saying? If that beard ain't precise and then them cuts and them lines ain't right, bro, and the blends and it's like, Jules, what's going on? Like I have 45,000 followers. Somebody gonna say something,
right?
So I always try my hardest, bro. Like I'll look through a cut. I'll look through it once, twice, 3, even 4 or 5 times, bro. Like, all right, go ahead. It's just what I do, bro. And I'm sure you guys are passionate in what you guys do, you know, and you take pride in what you do. And it's what I do too, bro. That's my thing, you know.
I love that those 2 worlds could come together. Because this is what we like to do, have like cool conversations
awesome.
About the Marlins.
I'll be here tomorrow. Well, whoever you come tomorrow, I'll be here tomorrow. I'll just
careful what you wish for. We're gonna pull that card.
No, tomorrow actually I can't tomorrow. I'll be at my shop tomorrow all day until like 9. But yeah, this is awesome, bro.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
I hope you guys like the little something I brought so you guys can check it out.
Fucking legendary, dude.
Did you like the bobblehead?
Yeah, bro.
It's
Fucking
awesome,
I told you
bro.
I have a fucking sick collection.
I gotta send a shout out to my boy Pablo, man. PV bobbleheads, bro. He came through in the clutch when I needed him. Tip my hat to you, thank you, sir. And he did a great job, bro. From the tattoos to every detail on there, bro.
It's incredible. I don't know if we can get on the camera here, but it's
sick.
It's.
You want me to hold it? I'll hold it.
Hell yeah.
I'll hold it.
We have to talk about that. It's been in the shot the whole time, and to me, that's like the artistry here, like the design, the putting it together, and then to actually come together in a 3D piece.
Thank you.
So this will go. This is in the shop, right?
This hasn't made its way to the shop yet.
But that's where you have it ticketed for.
That's where it's gonna go on. Yeah, I had told the Marlins, and they had expressed a little like, "Oh, could we put it in the bobblehead collection?" And I was like, "Yeah, but we need someone writing. When I want to take it, I need to take it."
Gotcha.
And I said, "You know what? I'll just let it live in my shop." You know what I'm saying? So I got a glass case. Like I said, this hasn't been put out there yet. I think I've previewed it one time, and again, PV bobbleheads did the hell out of this, bro. Like, there's a whole backstory to this, and to come to where we're at today, and I just love it from all the details to the, it's even got the little mirror in the back. It says a little, says in loving memory of Jose Fernandez, 1992 to 2016, and then it has the heads up logo on it. It has, obviously, it's supposed to be me. That's when I had a black beard, so it's stopped dyeing it. But that's what it is, man. And I my guy worked hard on it, and I gave him all the stuff to do. He even got my logo on it. He got the tattoos from the face to the eyebrow, blessed. I mean, I couldn't ask for anything better than this, bro. Like, he really did his thing. It says Jose Fernandez in the front and Juice on the side for me. It's awesome, man. I fucking love it, bro. And I can't wait to put it out there and then, have the guys talk about it. I have the big portrait of Jose, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to put it on a little shelf, putting a shelf up there with a glass case so it could be there.
What a cool thing to look at every day when you walk into the spot.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it really is, man. I look at that picture all the time and like, it's my boy, man. My boy, he's definitely missed, bro. Definitely missed. But yeah, I wanted to bring you guys because I thought this was a special occasion. I'm honored to be here, to be honest with you. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the show. I'm a fan of the page.
Appreciate you.
You know what I'm saying? And anything that has to do with Dade County, bro, you can count me in on it, bro. So I was like, you know what? They're probably going to like this, bro. So I didn't want to come empty-handed, so I just wanted to bring it so you guys can check it out. And
like would be the understatement of the year.
What's up,
That's
man. Appreciate it.
That hits all of us right in our fields.
Yeah.
I get it.
Thank you, bro.
Really,
Thank you. Yeah,
really cool, and like I said, loved every second of this conversation.
Yeah, my head don't bobble, but that's because my neck was stiff though. The whole day.
That's because you're locked in, bro, on the cut.
There you go.
I think the beard don't let it. The beard don't let it.
Stabilized right there.
It's balanced
awesome,
out.
You're welcome back here anytime.
Thank you,
and we'd
my
love
brother.
to. We'd love to do it.
We'd love to do it. And
I think the way that this is gonna like roll out and shoot, I feel I'm just blessed and honored that you'd come and grace us with a visit and
my brother,
truly are a legend of Dade.
When the call was made that you guys, I was like, bro, I wanted to ask if I can go on there, but I didn't want to ask. I saw the Mikey Lewison and I was like, bro, let me tell you, I had it on at the shop while all the players were watching. They were like, when was this? And I was like, these guys did this, bro. They got local guys, bro. They're like, it's pretty dope. I said, bro, they're dope, bro. Check them out. Like, what's their page? And I shoot them the page, and they're like, yeah, I like it. I'm fucking with it. And then I had it on the YouTube.
Means a lot, dude.
Yeah, it was dope, bro. It was dope. I was showing them clips and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And showing them on the phone, and they were like, yeah.
You gotta put them on, dude, to the history of the organization they're playing for, bro.
Yeah. And actually, that same day that we spoke, Juan P came in. I had told him, he's like, yeah, they had reached out to me, man. I want to do it, whatever. And I spoke to you. Yeah, we'd love to have you and Juan together. And I was like, no, Juan deserves his own time.
He's invited for sure.
He told me, he was like, I got to
invite right here too.
Yeah. He's just, man, he's got three.
And you know what I've loved that
the four boys, three of them play ball. You know what I'm saying? It's like, he's busy, bro. He coaches all the kids. So
shout out Juan Pierre. I've
my brother.
Spent a lot of time with the Miami Marlins, and every ownership group has kept him around. So shout out him as a player, but also as a pay it forward. Like, he's always in those roles to put his shoulder around a guy, tell a guy how to be pro.
He was there for Dontrelle. JP was there. This is just as recently as, Jazz, you know what I'm saying? Brinson, Juan P's the true meaning of legendary as a person.
And everybody who interacts with him says that too. That's what's
number one, bro.
That's
number one.
That's awesome. But that's I don't know, for us to be to have made something and then to have it be playing in the club or in the barbershop and to
Yeah.
have it be engaged with, I think it's
Super
awesome.
dope. Thank you.
So, yeah, we feel like we got to do a conversation 2 or volume 2.
Hell
Oh,
yeah.
for sure. dude.
We'll,
2, 3, 4, 5. Dog, I'm
series.
gonna be here for a minute, bro. I'll be around whenever you want.
Awesome.
I ain't going nowhere. I'm not moving to Texas. I'm stuck in Dade, bro. I'm stuck in South Florida. I'm stuck in Miami, South Florida. So.
well, good.
But this is the crib, bro. You listen, I'll take the good with the bad, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because the way the sun shines here in Miami, don't shine nowhere else. Where else can you look at a picture and be like, I guarantee you that's fucking Florida?
Yep.
And if you really look at it, I guarantee you that's fucking South Florida. The way the sun shines here is different than anywhere else, bro.
And it's a place that you can't describe to anybody that's not from here.
No.
And it's a place that
The diversity, bro, is insane. Juan P even told me on my shows, he's like, dude, how do you have so many people here he's like, there's so many different types of people here. Nobody has an issue with nobody. I was like, nah, bro. He was like, it's the respect you demand. I was like, it's the respect I give. You know, it's what I'm receiving back from them. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I appreciate, because you got, at my shows, bro, and the same as the barbershop, you have people from all walks of life, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you, you got cops, attorneys, doctors, you got killers, you got jackers, you got dope boys, you got scammers. They're everywhere. You don't know who's who. So you treat everybody with respect. Everybody treats me back with respect, you know what I'm saying? And that's all I can ask for. You know? I'm not gonna sit here and sugarcoat shit. I'm not perfect, bro, by no means. I need a lot of work to be done on my part, but I'm trying to get there. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get there. Every day you learn something new, and if somebody don't tell you what you're doing wrong, how do you know you're doing it wrong? How do you know you're saying things wrong? Maybe you hurt somebody's feelings, you know, by something you said or something, the way you said it. And and maybe in your head at the moment didn't seem wrong, but to that person, they didn't take it lightly, you know? They were like, And if you don't tell me, I wouldn't know. So things you got to work on, you know what I'm saying? And I'm always I'm a work in progress, bro. And I think everybody is, you know what I'm saying? Because we never stop trying to be better. At least people who want to be better, you know what I'm saying? That, you know, what they're doing in life. So I try to tell all the young guys, like, listen, bro, maybe this is for you, maybe it's not for you. But you can definitely learn some life lessons, you know, grinding it out in the barbershop, because you learn how to get along with people, because at no point in time there's ever less than 10, 15 people at my barbershop, you know what I'm saying? And if it's a packed house, you're talking about 20, 30 people, you know? And then if I cut 15 to 17 heads a day, that's 15, 17 different conversations I'm having. So when somebody says, damn, nigga, you don't remember what I told you? I said, bro, I don't remember none we said, bro. You know, because I have so many conversations. The worst thing is, like, do the same things you did last time. Dude, that was a month ago. I have no idea what I did. So you gotta remind me. Like, we got short-term memory when it comes to stuff like that. We deal with so many people, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's tough. But you always gotta push forward, man. And like I said, man, everything with respect and honor. Honestly, just being a good person, you know? And I think I need to work on being a better person. And I think everybody, some way, somehow, needs to be working on being better. You know, I think that's just a lifelong work in progress, you know?
I love the pride with which you speak about Miami and Miami-Dade, because like what you said earlier, look at all the good you just described, and it's all happening because of this place that we live in. It's like this place that it's given us. So it's like, that to me is, yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
I'm not from nowhere else, bro. I'm born and raised in Carroll City, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's stomping ground. Now Miami Gardens, Carroll City. You know, born and raised, lived my whole life, 18 years old there, and then moved out with my wife, moved to Hialeah Gardens when we were, you know, dating for about a year and a half or two, then bought my first house in Carroll City. You know, so now I live in Broward, but we won't tell nobody. So I'm playing. I'm not playing. But I mean, it's still Miami, bro. I think in the future, Miami will become a state. It's the state of Miami, and then Florida just be from up there about mid-Florida, you know what I'm saying? It's right around Lake Okeechobee.
It is its own universe, its own place, its own
Anything
ecosystem.
anything from Orlando or Port St. Lucie down is pretty. Honestly, from West Palm down, basically say it's Miami, bro. Yeah. Seriously. The cultures is almost the same. People, the foods. Where else are you gonna go to see that, bro, or feel that, or eat that? You know what I'm saying? It's like
preaching to the choir here.
I don't think I'm ever leaving, dude.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'm never leaving, bro.
I'm fucking leaving.
Yeah, I don't think I'm leaving, but God knows, you know, whatever God has in store for me, man. If He puts it there and wants me to do it, then that's what I'll do.
Well, I'm glad that He put us on, like, we were put on the same path here for at least one night and one conversation. This was awesome. So thank you, man.
I honestly enjoyed the shit out of this, bro.
Likewise.
Like, this was definitely on my bucket list, bro. Like, when I saw that interview with Mikey Lowe, you did great. My guy.
He did.
He did great.
It's like from the production side, we didn't have to do anything. He just kind of sat there and just told stories and was just like, just carried the whole interview. And he was like, all right, you guys need anything else? And we were like,
and it's good to see Mikey Lowe like that because a lot of people don't know Mikey Lowe like that and don't even know that he even speaks like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like to hear them talk like that, it's like, I liked it.
It's one of us.
Sure enough, it is, my brother.
I think that came through in the interview too. You felt like you were watching somebody that you the story of somebody you grew up with, or like, you know. And I feel like he was everybody's mom's favorite player during his era.
Yeah, what a hell of a fucking player, man. Jesus.
Hell of a player, man, and hell of a person.
How big is he? That you're like, oh, this guy's huge. You didn't think he was that big? He's a big dude, bro.
Yeah,
a big guy, bro. Yeah, great
love
person,
that conversation.
man.
So the fact that influenced this happening. That's like you giving us the highest.
Man, we're gonna get D-Train in here, man. We're gonna get everybody in here,
bring
bro.
him, dude.
Train, you gotta come, bro. I'm coming, and we're coming in the vert. We're coming to Charlie Brown.
Oh.
We're gonna part Charlie. Make sure you make space. Make sure you make space. Let's do that.
Now we gotta make it happen.
Let's do that. Hey, bro, we're calling it out now.
Accountability.
We're counting it out now. We speaking on it. We're speaking it into existence. I'm gonna have Charlie Brown right in here.
It's done.
It's done.
It's done. All right.
That'll be Charlie Brown's first podcast.
Make sure you tune in on 786 Sports, the Legends of Dade project.
Yes, shout out to that. I just learned about that today. Fucking awesome, dude. So proud of you, my brother.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So
I'm Adrian. This is Giancarlo running Legends of Dade. I hope we keep having cool conversations like this.
I had a blast, bro. Call me next time. I just want to sit in.
Deal.
Appreciate y'all, boys, man.
Thank you, bro.
Appreciate it, bro.